All I could say is buckle up. This is going to be a little frosty today. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Oh, and by the way, happy Veterans Month. We honor our veterans this month, and hopefully you get an opportunity, you see a veteran, to go and shake his hand this entire month. That's right, this entire month of June. Go up and, unlike the NFL, Major League Baseball, and the NBA, make sure you go up and shake a veteran's hand and give an observation this month because it's Veterans Month. And we get an opportunity to thank our soldiers the entire month of June. That's worth celebrating. Thank you. Look forward to that. NBA playoffs are set. Indiana, OKC. I believe that's Thursday. That tips off in OKC. NHL finals are set. Panthers once again back in the finals along with the Edmonton Oilers, last year's two participants. So I believe that starts Tuesday in Edmonton. And, of course, OTAs for many football teams, including yours truly, your Philadelphia Eagles, today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. As I said to you, this is where you make it. We're here. Hey, get this. Next month is training camp. You're here. Next month is training camp. Okay? We're going to start this thing out. And before I get to the commissioner going after Howie Roseman, now look, I want you to hear me clearly. I'm not suggesting to you that this is a good deal in any way, shape, or form. I'm not suggesting to you that this deal will happen. I get the opportunity as I book guests sometimes, like people that I'm interested in getting on the program, whether it be a Drew Rosinghouse, somebody from CAA. I get a text every now and then, and I get people who we know and we've been involved with in the business for over 40 years, okay? So Vanguard Sports, who represents Von Miller, there's been communication between the Eagles and Joby Brannion, who's the CEO who cut that historic deal for Von Miller years ago. And by the way, who played for Vic Fangio. There's a potential at a marriage. I'm not suggesting to you in any way this is a good deal. But Vic's looking for players that fit. Again, I was just talking to Xander. Xander says, that doesn't excite me. Well, here, remember, Vic Fangio's looking for a different player. He's 35 years old. He had 6 sacks a year ago. I get it. I think it's all about the price is right. This is not a 3-year deal. This is a 1-year deal. Because here, I think the Philadelphia Eagles, once again, and I've been saying it the entire offseason, have put themselves in a position where, again, you're not happy with the guys you have at edge. You're not happy with it. I get it. You guys were under the impression, all good, Vic. And unfortunately, not even the Eagles think that. June 1st happens Sunday, which means casualty of the cap happens to hit today and this week. You're going to see some good football players out there that are going to be available right now. This is not quite the first week of free agency, or the second week for that matter. This is kind of an extension of the third week. Okay? Feels how big a loss for Lions will Ragnow's retirement be? I saw that. Huge. Absolutely huge. That also moves Cam Jurgens up the totem pole on being one of the better centers in the NFC, if not in the NFL. That moves him up the list. Absolutely no doubt. Will Shipley season. Oy. Saquon, was nice knowing you at ACLs. Good thing we didn't waste a pick on a running back. Howie season. Little crown face. I get it. Thank you, Brian Pumper. Thank you guys for coming aboard. Super chats go to the top. Please hit the like list. We appreciate it. Once again, I'm not suggesting to you that in any way the Von Miller move is a huge move. But you're either going to be in one bucket or the other. You're either going to be in the bucket of, hey, this is what's left, or you're either going to be in the TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson bucket. I don't believe the Eagles are going to make a $30 million decision on June 2nd or this week. That's not happening. As much as I would like that. Okay? Ask yourself this, and look at LJ here. It's low risk, high reward depending on the salary. I'm not paying north of $5 million for the guy. $5 million, I'll stick with the dudes I have, and we'll see if we can make it work out. Financially, again, here, think about this. You spent $17 million a year ago on 2.5 sacks. I could spend $5 million on 6. And again, he's a rotation piece. We're not talking about a guy who's going to come in and fight for a spot for the next 2 years. And importantly, I don't want to take reps away from my 2 guys. I don't really care who you signed. My contention is Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt. I want those guys to get as many reps as possible during this time leading up to training camp. And maybe even, now again, you got to be careful because you're not very deep there. Okay? I mean, you're not deep. We're going to get more into this here in a second. So again, I just want to throw this out. JAKIB Sports. And yes, we are reporting that. Again, Howie Roseman talks to everybody. He's probably talked to every single available defensive edge rusher that's available, that's out there. That doesn't mean he signs everyone. Okay? That just doesn't mean it. And I'm not suggesting he's going to. I'm not sure it's a good deal. Okay? I'm not. Gary Cobb will be with us at 4:30. Xander's going to hit us up at 3:30. Me, I'd rather give Hunt and Nolan Smith as much of an evaluation and as many reps as possible. You got away with it with a 3-man rotation this past year. Okay? And I want to show you something else. I wrote this down. And I wanted to get a sense over the last 10 years. I don't care about Vic Fangio's entire career. I care over the last 10 years. Now, again, remember from 2019 to 2021, he was the head football coach of the Denver Broncos. So let's look at his history. This past year with the Eagles, number 1 ranked overall defense. Great. First time in his entire coaching career. As a DC, he was number 1. Miami, they were 10th and 23. In 2018, they were 3rd. Chicago in 17, they were 10th. In 16 in Chicago, they were 15th. In Chicago, in 15, they were 14th. In San Francisco, 14th, they were 5th. San Francisco in 13, they were 5th. San Francisco in 12, they were 3rd. And in San Francisco in 11, they were 4th. That's a hell of a record. So when you guys say this, okay, you trust in Vic, that's a tremendous resume. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of the last 10 years, he was a defensive coordinator, not counting the head coaching job that he was with 19 to 21. 7 of those years, he had a top 10 ranked defense. That's a hell of a resume. And that's, to me, how I look at a DC. Are you consistent year in and year out in putting together and formulating a great group to be able to go out and play ball for your team? Yes, he does. That's a great track record. You know, if you look really early in his career, you know, they were around the 20s, 25, 27, 20. It wasn't really off to a great and banging start. But as he got into knowing and acclimated into the game, and as the game became more played in space, Vic's defenses got better. Okay? It got better. There's certainly a profile he's looking for. The Von Miller profile is perfect. But again, when you're talking about a 35, 36-year-old guy, how much is in the tank? Like it here, when you look at the register here or the depth chart, is a 70% Von Miller better than an Aziz Ojulari or a pick one, a Joshua Uche? Is a 70% Von Miller better than that at $5 million? I say yes. Okay? Do you want to bring and plus Von Miller around my young guys? Von Miller's going to Canton. Get this. You see, look at this guy. RC3 would tell you that Joshua Nobody is a better player right now than Von Miller. How's that possible? Explain that to me. Dude, you're not even sure that the guys you have this year are better than him. A 35-year-old guy had 6 sacks last year. And he's $5 million. That's a stupid. Again, I'm not shocked. This guy's the king of L's. Get this. That doesn't mean you're a ball player. He'll take a 24-year-old 4-4 guy who's a nobody over a Hall of Fame player. Bro, that's why Vic picks the best players and veteran guys too. It's a stupid comment. Then again, by a stupid person. Okay? What would he possibly know about greatness? And get this too. Okay? Think about the kind of knowledge he could pass down to Jalix Hunt. You tell me Joshua Uche is going to pass down knowledge to your guys? Doing what? Being cut? I see Von Miller taking that Calais Campbell type role. Yeah. Bro, get in there, play 20 plays, be an off guy, and coming in and being a rotational piece. Get this, a Von Miller as a rotational piece. I'm not sure that's a bad thing. Joshua Uche, nobody, is a gamble. By the way, they don't like your group now. Okay, bro. Look, here's his last take for the day. Another screaming L. Aziz had 5 sacks with the freaking New York Giants, who were one of the worst defensive football teams in pro football. He has Bryce Huff stats. Hey, do me a favor, Kyle. Give me the ranking of the Giants' defense a year ago and where they were ranked. You talk about Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott stats. That's what that is. They weren't impact sacks. They were garbage time sacks. At least that guy played with the Bills and was constantly in games that mattered. There's the difference right there. Von Miller has played in games that have mattered the last decade. Joshua Uche was nobody. Get this. So his 6 sacks on the 24 ranked defense, according to RCL, no more RC3. It's RCL. Means more than a guy who was on the AFC Eastern Conference, the AFC East champions. Bro, last time there, man. It's all good. Don't worry. Take the day off, kid. This won't be a conversation for you because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, as usual. King of the L's. Hit the like button, guys. We appreciate all of you guys coming aboard here. Hey, how about this? Like I said, this is a great take. This is a great take. Sign Von Miller. Competition brings the best out of the guys. Remember one thing, Sills. Aziz came from a dysfunctional organization, and Uche got traded midseason. I would say this to you, Trey. Can you imagine your young guys beating that guy out? Okay? Right? This is another great take by LJ. That's right. Give us, hey, by the way, too, I'll make this point to you, LJ, and I'll concede this. All right? I'll go here with this. Maybe he gets an opportunity to be around better ball players that he turns his career around. But as of right now, he's a one-year wonder. And Ojulari kid's not really a one-year wonder. He's not bad, but he's a one-dimensional ball player. Vic Fangio is going to fall into the same trap with him. Or no, Vic won't. Because he won't play but situationally. He's not a three-down guy. Do you know what the evaluation on Aziz Ojulari is? He's not a three-down guy. He's a small dude. He's smaller than Nolan Smith. He can't play the run. That's why he's not out on first and second down. You're going to be in the same position you were with Huff. He can't play the run. I mean, you're pumping a guy up because he's on your football team with a guy's skill set that doesn't fit. Hit the like button here. So again, by the way, I want to make sure we underline this. And we're going to get to the commissioner going after Howie here in a minute. Joby Branyan, like I said, the CEO of Vanguard Sports. He's the guy that cut that deal for Von Miller a couple of years back, that legendary deal that he signed with the Denver Broncos. Super Bowl MVP. Okay? By the way, the guy knows how to win. Is saying that the Eagles and them have spoke. I don't know what that means. I got this from an agent and a person that I trust a lot. Sills, what about Von Miller's history? We didn't draft Mike Green for a reason. Well, again, you've had dog and animal abusers, and you had a racist on your team, in, Riley Cooper, excuse me. I mean, you had a guy that was in a situation that somebody was killed in a car accident. And plus, you have a guy who played for Vic Fangio. Why don't you ask Vic? Hey, if Vic signs off on him, and let me ask this question. Let me ask this. How much autonomy do you think Vic Fangio has in the building if he wants a player? Do you think if he wanted Von, he could get him? Do you? You think if Vic wanted him, how he would sign him? Yes or no? Trade for an edge? I'm not doing any of that. Do you believe he would do that? Fangio has the juice. Now, again, I want to temper this by saying I have to think on this a little more, if that makes sense. And I really need to find out. How much money we're talking about here. Okay? All right. I appreciate everybody coming aboard. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. OTAs are going to go on. We got a ton of stuff to hit on today. So do you guys know who Andrew Brand is? Do you guys have an understanding who Andrew Brand is? He was at one time, I think, the general manager of the Green Bay Packers. Okay? And I know he's been in media for a long time. We used to get him on all the time. He and I had a falling out. This was years ago when I was on my other radio show, when I was on in San Diego / Los Angeles. And some of the things that I thought he was saying weren't true. And it came out that I was right about RG3. He said that I had no connections into RG3 not being re-signed by the Washington then Redskins. Turns out the general manager came on my program, Bruce Allen, and said it, that we're not re-signing him. And he broke the story theoretically on my show and said that we are not retaining or re-signing RG3. And the floodgates opened up after that. Okay? And he and I never really spoken after that. He was wrong and didn't want to admit it. That's fine. That stuff happens all the time. Okay? Now, he did say something publicly over the last couple of days that's interesting. The NFL commissioner thinks that Howie Roseman's being unethical on how he has been using the voided years in contracts and pushing the money out and deferring the money out and just adding years to players' contracts. The owner gives money and they defer the remaining money and they keep adding years. It makes sense now. This is how Howie keeps some of these people with low salary cap. Howie gives you fake years that don't matter and they're not real. It's not the true integrity of what the salary cap is. Now, I don't really care. If that gets me money up front, if I'm a player and I get a bag of money and I can stay on a winning team, as a player, I don't care. That's more of an owner's problem now. And the commissioner hasn't theoretically, I want to get the wording. I want to get this right. So let me type this in here because I want to get the wording exactly right, that Goodell doesn't think how the Eagle GM is. I think I may have tweeted that out. So let me put that out there. And I put this on my Twitter. Here it is right here. Here's the exact wording. He hasn't really called out Howie Roseman, but listen where we're going here. The National Football League commissioner believes there is widespread speculation and concern within the league. He means the owners, that the Eagles use the voided years and cash over cap strategies to manipulate the salary cap and their salary cap most notably. These strategies allow the Eagles to temporarily reduce their current cap burden by pushing expenses into future years, giving them a competitive edge. This is going to change. They're going to stop this. Because what it's doing is, Howie's just doing this, adding two fake years. He's just adding fake years. I don't know where the NFL Players Association is in this. Because really, the Players Association needs to get off their ass and have some balls here and fight that if they so have a problem. But once again, if you're a player, you don't really have a problem because this is what Howie will do. He'll go to Jordan Mailata or Lane Johnson, and he'll say this. Hey, listen, we want to lower the cap. You know, you're 35 years old, Lane. We're not going to be paying you $25 million at 37. We may. But what we're going to do is we're going to give you a bag of money now, keep you at the same salary, but we're going to lower your base. And we're just going to add 2 years on, which aren't real. Because in a year, he'll add 2 more years. How many times? Hey, does anybody have Give me a sense here. How many times has Howie Roseman redone Lane Johnson's contract with years remaining? This is why, and now it makes sense. Here, get this. What the hell is this salary gate? Dynasty incoming. Well, there won't be no dynasty if they cut that off. Not happening. If they cut that off. And Marshall, that's what they want to do. I think this is a bigger deal because the owners are looking at Roseman and Laurie And they're manipulating something that was set up to benefit everyone. But you know what the owners don't want to do? The owners don't want to do what Jeffrey Lurie's doing. Give him money. Lurie would rather pay you now less than more later. Doesn't that make sense? And the player would rather take the money now and take less later. Dude, there is nothing more valuable to me than money in the bank. Not money promised. Holy cow. Especially in my life. I so wish I had every cent that somebody promised me. I wouldn't be here. Okay? I wouldn't. I mean, as this is in place, it benefits everybody that's on the roster and the Philadelphia Eagles most notably. Do you know why? Why does this benefit the Eagles more so than any team in the league? This is really awesome, but it's not, because the owners don't like what you're doing. Do you know the ask that the owners had with the guaranteed contract with the Browns and them giving Deshaun Watson that contract? Let's see what LJ's had. A ton of big wins here, man, right out of the gate. Please hit the like button. The reason dummy years work is because Howie has correctly bet that the cap will always go up. If it ever doesn't go up, it would be a tough year for us. Here's the thing, too. And it's going up at 18%. And I think that number is going to increase to 25% because of gambling and streaming. That's what they're afraid of. This is what they're afraid of. Do you understand what he's done by taking a step back this year? Talent-wise, let's put it out there. They're financially not in a position to sign a bunch of guys like Trey Hendrickson and guys like TJ. They're not in that position because they see the writing on the wall. They're going to still be able to throw these years out. They're going to sign Jalen Carter to that deal. Look at Reed Blankenship's deal. Where's that? How come they haven't addressed that? You're going to let Reed go into a year and he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season? Or are you going to address that? Where's the deal? Is he going to sign that by training camp? How much you paying him? 10? So I want to read this one more time to you. This is the belief that the owners have, because the mouthpiece, Roger Goodell, is the mouthpiece. By the way, I think it's wonderful what you've done. I have no problem with this because as a player, all right, so I take less money in the back end, get those contracts. Here's the deal. If those contracts were guaranteed, this is a bad deal for me. But since my contract's not guaranteed, shit, man, I'll take as much money as I can up front while I can. There's nothing guaranteed in these NFL contracts except the signing bonus. Here, I want to read it one more time to you to get a true understanding. NFL commissioner believes there's widespread speculation and concern within the league. He's talking about the owners, and he doesn't want to just name Lurie. Dude, you talk about the tush push. You talk about people telling Jeffrey Lurie to sit his ass down. Use of the void years and cash over cap strategies to manipulate their salary cap. These strategies allow the Eagles to temporarily reduce their current cap burden by pushing expenses into the future, giving them a competitive edge. That's the problem. The owners don't like it because the owners don't want to pay. I mean, you sign a contract in Philly, a $30 million deal. You know what Howie does? Here's 17 of it guaranteed. Dude, that base salary's down to shit. And then Howie keeps adding years to defer the dead money. Fucking fabulous. And as a player, I don't care. You mean I'll make more now and less later? How many times do you see players live out contracts? You don't. Still, from what I know, 25 other teams do the same thing. Howie's just better at it. Yeah, that still doesn't make it where that makes me feel better that Howie's better at it. You know why Howie's better at it? Because the owner's better at it. The owner looks at Roseman and knows, like, see this deal? Turns out it's not 15 total for 1 year. I disagree with John because they spread it out, that 15 over the dead money in the dead years. It is, in theory, 15 in cap space with dead years continually being added. Okay, he's right in a sense that it's not 15. Well, it is over 4 years or 3 years. It is. Like the remaining 2 years, they're going to add another year. Actually, they don't have to do that because they turn that into a base salary, and then they turn that thing into a signing bonus. Okay? They don't like what you're doing. I love it as a player. Okay? You sign me to a 3-year, $50 million deal. And you come to me and you go, Dan, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you $16.5 or $17 million in guaranteed cash of that. I'm going to go, great. And you're going to, the base is going to be around 17. Then we're going to add 2 more years after that. And we're going to give you another bonus. And then we're going to defer the bonus out so that the cap hits won't be high. Sure, I don't care. You know what another team like Arizona says? Hey, wait a minute. That means you're changing the pay scale. And more importantly, the pay structure. The Eagles have changed the way you do business. That's a no-no. Do you understand what I just said? The Eagles have changed the way they do business in the league. They're not doing it like everyone else. There was always an unwritten rule. You pay a player this, and you sign a player to this. And as organizations, it's called hidden collusion. That's what's going on. The Eagles have broke away from that a bit. And the commissioners being told by owners like Jerry Jones, Bob Kraft, hey, this guy's just adding stupid years on the back end so he doesn't have to pay his bills. You understand? I wish I could do this. I wish I could pay my rent 10 months in advance. That's what Howie does. Howie keeps pushing he'll pay a little bit, then he'll push 2 more years out. He'll pay a little more, push more years out. This is unbelievably great. Andrew Blant explained it. Okay? It's loser teams like Cincinnati. That's exactly right. This is a great take by JD3. It's loser teams like Cincinnati that look at T. Higgins' contract compared to Smitty's. This is so right here. That's right. Look at T. Higgins' deal, and then look at T. Higgins' deal. Look at A.J. Brown and Devontae's deal, and look at Jamar Chase and T. Higgins' deal. The Cincinnati deal's $105 million more. Howie was able to use the 50-year option, put more dead years on it. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm not a guy to glaze over anybody. You know this. I don't glaze over anybody. That's not what I do. It's always the crappy teams that like to complain. Yeah, the poor teams, like you said, the Raiders are another notorious team for that. Understand, dude, you guys know me. I don't sit here and glaze anybody, start my show out giving kudos to people. I look at situations that you need to improve. We're going to do that here, but now you got the commissioner and the owner. This is a problem. When you hear that language, NFL commissioner believes there is widespread speculation and concern within the league about the Eagles' use of voided years. Folks, I'm going to tell you this. This is an email that was sent to me. This was sent to me about Howie Roseman from another general manager on a circulated chain going around the Players Association. This is a real thing. Okay? This is a real thing. I thought, last week it was kind of good topic and it was good conversation. Now, you've got the commissioner saying, and get this, he didn't explicitly go out and publicly, but behind the scenes, it is the Eagles. Believes there is widespread speculation and concern within the league that the Eagles use the void years and cash over cap strategies to manipulate their cap. These strategies allow the Eagles to not have to pay their bills and temporarily reduce their current cap burden by pushing expenses into the future, giving them a complete competitive edge. Now, see, here's my problem with that comment. My problem is, well, wait a minute. If I have an owner that's willing to do that and spend that money, this is Jeffrey Lurie going into a meeting and using wet dream and guys like Jed York telling him to sit his ass down. You guys think this is about, having an ass with Howie. I think this is more about the owner. This is the owner here. Lies. You glazed Josh. Okay. Thanks for the super chat, Flex. And I don't know what the fuck you're on right now, what you're talking about. You're so off topic. You're dumb. No idea what the hell you're talking about. Glaze. This guy says I'm glazing the suit. The NFL MVP. Okay, sure. Glazing the NFL MVP. All right. You got me. Okay. Sills, that word means temporarily. What that word, temporarily means that each year you get to keep adding years, and they add dead years. Okay. He's the MVP. He's the best player in the NFL at his position. Yeah. And what's wrong with the best player? He's the best player in the league. He was so voted. Who are we talking about here? Bryce Huff? Hey, you glaze the sport's best player. I don't know. Best player doesn't mean shit. Only on payday. You see this guy? The best player in the game doesn't mean shit. Only on payday, dude. Only on payday. The best player in the sport, it doesn't mean shit. Yeah. Only on Tuesdays, direct deposits. Okay, that's when it matters. All that other shit, it doesn't matter. You're right. Payday, it matters. Okay? Josh Prescott, another $60 million guy. Hey, you guys look at it through the dumb lens of a fan. I look at it through the lens of a player getting paid. That's the difference between you and me. You guys glaze over the stupidest shit. I glaze over a guy who's the best. You make it to the Hall of Fame, not by the team you're on. You make it to the Hall of Fame by your talent. That damn Bills team going to win about 15 ball games this year. Damn. Well, the question will be, can he win 4 in a row, though? All right. Hit the like button. Now, here's something as we make a pivot and we talk about minicamp or OTAs today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Here's the difference with this year's group compared to last year's group. You're not paying premium money. You're counting on player development. Plain and simple. As much as you want to glaze, and to a point, rightfully so, Vic Fangio, he couldn't work his magic on Bryce Huff, right? He couldn't. Couldn't do it with Devin White. Couldn't do it with Keely Ringo. Right? Okay. You've got to count on player development this year. because you're not paying any money on premium positions on defense. Zero. Except linebacker. There's not a position on that team outside of linebacker that you're paying a premium position on when it comes to money. I'm not suggesting you don't have players, but this has to come with young players continuing to grow. Let me ask you something. What happened to Carson Wentz? What happened to him? Sills, I don't glaze anyone. 5 minutes later, he's him. He's the best. He is the best player in the league. That's what the sport voted him. He's the MVP. Yes, I glaze him. Thank you very much, Prince. I appreciate that. Next. What happened to Carson Wentz? Appreciate that, Prince. Hope you have a good day, kid. What happened to Carson Wentz? By the way, do me a favor. How many years did Carson Wentz play in Philadelphia? How many years? 5 or 6? Was it 6 years he played? How many years did he play, Carson Wentz? 5 years. Thanks, Kyle. Of those 5 years, how many years did Carson Wentz, do you think, play top-flight football for you? How many years? How many years of those 5 years did Carson Wentz play great football for you? 1 or 2? Okay. And Carson Wentz was the second player taken in the NFL draft, correct? And just to be factual here, Carson Wentz got a groundbreaking contract from the Eagles, correct? So you signed him to a groundbreaking contract. And of those 5 years, you say Carson Wentz probably played 1 to 2 years. Looks like 1 to 2 years of great football for you. What happened to him? Brady got hurt early. Came back and won 3 more Super Bowls, or maybe even 4 more Super Bowls. What happened to Wentz? This was one of your most, let me see, have you ever signed a player over $38 million a year? No. Right? Carson Wentz is the richest player you've ever signed. Is that right? $38 million. Okay, so you signed a guy to the richest contract to this date in Eagle history, correct? $38 million. And you're telling me 5 years, that guy only played 1 to 2 years of good football? What happened to him? He got hurt, couldn't overcome the injury. Okay, that's part of it. Do you think his skill went down a little? Do you think the skill started going the other way? Okay, Wentz was injury, mental midget, and you still gave a mental midget $38 million annually. Highest paid contract in the history of the Eagles to this day. And you're telling me you gave that money to a mental midget, according to you? He lost his confidence. You signed a guy to a contract that was the richest in history, that is a mental midget, lost his confidence, and was injured, and has played 1 to 2 good years in Philly. I tell you this. How do you know this doesn't happen to Cooper DeJean or Quinyon Mitchell? Any one of these. Injuries? Loses confidence? How do you know this? I didn't know this. You're banking on continual improvement. Richest contract in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. You gave a guy. And within 5 years, he was off the team. Why? because he couldn't maintain it. This happens all the time. Now, some guys get better. Some guys get worse. And I'm not suggesting to you with Cooper or Q or with Carter or anybody that it's going to happen. But before you start talking about consistent success and what a player is and who the player is, let's start putting some years together here. I get accused, and rightfully so, when it comes to Jaden Daniels. I'm not quite what he did a year ago. Was that better than RG3 and what he did in Washington? A little better. He looks like a better player. But to sit there and say that guy's going to be a consistent NFL superstar, I don't know if I'm there yet. Okay, I'm not sure yet. Let me see another good year. I'll tell you what I do love. And I look at it different. I saw CJ Stroud. You guys thought he took a step back. Not me. I thought he took a step back playing better schedule, better teams, still got his team into the playoffs. I thought he grew a year ago. He continues to grow. He's going to be a really great football player in this league. That's how I look at his season a year ago. Teams, you may think he took a step back. He played better teams. And he took his team to the playoffs for a second year in a row in Houston. Those players you mentioned are coachable. Wentz went, okay, so you gave $38 million to a guy who wasn't coachable, Prince. Inside of 5 years, all of this is, if this is true, and all of this is true, you still paid the guy. Okay, he got in his own way. I don't give a shit about Carson Wentz. I really don't. I asked you what happened to him. He doesn't want to be coached. He's mentally weak. He got injured. Okay, you still paid him. And he was the number 2 overall pick. What happened? What happened to him? Okay, he's not. So you gave $38 million annually to a guy. Dude, the Bryce Huff deal is not the worst deal Howie's ever signed. That is. If all this shit's true, the worst deal Roseman ever signed was Wentz. I don't think so because he helped get you to an NFC title game. I don't. But money-wise, you're telling me all this is true? Wentz is the worst contract ever then. Hey, that's right. Shit happens. That's my point. Shit happens. That's what happened. Correct. That, Marcus, is right. All of a sudden, the guy comes back in second year. Hey, and you watch him play. All of a sudden, he's not the same guy. You know all that shit you guys were trying to tell me a year ago about Devin White? Hey, Devin White in his second year, he was a great player. Look at Devin White. What happened to Devin White? Second year All-Pro, had like 6 or 7 or 8 sacks, was captain of the defense for the Bucs. What happened to him? What happened to him? He was a 5th pick in the draft. What happened to Devin White? And when you guys got rid of him, he's 26 years old. What happened to him? He didn't continue his growth. He didn't continue to get better. Other distractions, injuries, agents. Look at Bryce Huff. He was a one-year wonder. Do you know how many one-year wonders there are on your team now? Let me take a look at it. Well, you got rid of Huff. He was. Is Nolan Smith? I'm not going to call him that yet because, well, his first year in Philly was exceptionally underwhelming. Hey, you know what I would say to you? Just so you guys can put into context, Nolan Smith's first year in Philadelphia was as bad as Bryce Huff's first year in Philly. Just a different coach was able to get to Nolan, and there was a better fit. Nolan Smith was not very good when he got here. Often hurt, no production, nothing. Didn't see anything from the player. There wasn't one thing redeeming. Same thing with Nakobe. Okay? Same thing with Nakobe. All right? I mean, at the end of the day here, right? When Nolan Smith is going into what? Is this his third season? Is Nolan Smith going into his third year this year? Are you happy where he is in his career right now? By the way, got banged up in the Super Bowl, I think it was. He ended up going under the knife. He's not going to be available for any OTAs or I think the beginning of training camp. I'm going to hold off on saying that. So you're happy with the guy. You're happy with where he is right now. I don't know who he is. I have no idea who he is. He surely looked great. Hey, I saw Joshua Uche have 10 sacks in Belichick's defense. He was being considered one of the better edge rushers. Let's see him do it again. Let's see him do it consistently. Dude, one-year wonders. Until you show me 3 years of good football, just like with Carson Wentz, just like with any good ball player, some players are going to fade. Some players are not going to fulfill. Some players' injuries are going to play a factor. Some are going to have mental issues. I have no idea, and nor does anybody. He's not a very big guy. That's right. This is a great take. You guys signed James Bradberry to a 3-year, $13 million contract. What happened to him? What happened to James Bradberry? What happened to him? You signed him to a giant contract. He made second team All-Pro. What happened to Bradberry? What happened to him? Nothing? He lost a step. Okay. He lost a step. What else? Tell me. 1 year he lost a step. What happened to Bradberry? You signed him to a giant contract and then you regretted it. Right? What happened to James Bradberry? Bradberry, wait a minute. So look at this guy's take. So you signed James Bradberry to a 3-year, $12.5 million a year contract. Then the next year he got too old. That's what happened in 1 year. Well, shit. I mean, that's what I'm talking about here. Oh, the contract. Okay. Circumstances were, according to Mike, that Bradberry played on a team that was a good pass rushing team. That is so correct. You have no idea what the personnel is on this new defensive front. That's so right. Okay? Get this. So technically, the contracts that they signed for Bryce Huff and for James Bradberry were good. They haven't been bad contracts. Okay. And the Carson Wentz deal, where you had a player on the team for 5 years, giving him the most money in the history of the team to date, was not a bad deal and a bad draft pick at the end of the day. 5 years. Shit, and Jalen Hurts is 5 years. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. No? 5 years. Jalen Hurts has been to the playoffs every year going into his 5th year. Starter. Right? Okay. You guys will make excuses for anybody. The league, again, the league is not a certainty. You don't know what you're getting when you see players like Von Miller, or you see players like Myles Garrett, or you see players like Lane Johnson, those are special dudes. At the end of the day, they're special ball players that can play like that every day, every snap, every season. Just playing with great players and plays and make people around them better. You got players on that offense, Landon Dickerson, Mulata, Lane, as we said, that are just fabulous ball players. AJ, another one. Devontae. Shit, Dallas Goedert. Those are really good players. Jordan Davis is not a really great player. He's a good player. He's a situational player. He's a rotation guy. This guy calls a rotation guy a good player. I think. I may be wrong, Master. Has Carter showed enough? I think he's got to show consistency. Now, hey, look, he showed the skill set. Now he's got to do it every year. That's the mark of a great football player, dude. The mark of a great player is just not having the ability. The mark of a great Bo Jackson was one of the greatest players in the history of the sport, but he couldn't do it every day. There was nobody better in pro football history as talent than Bo Jackson, but he couldn't do it every year because his body couldn't hold up because he was doing two sports. That shit happens. Hurts is the highest, Sills. Oh, that's right. You're right. 50 million. Thank you, Rashid. I appreciate that, brother. Highest today. No. You're right. No. You're right. I meant that Hurts. Then Wentz is the second highest paid guy in the history of the franchise. Okay, that's right. Good. Look at this. We're not talking about me, dickhead. Okay. I mean, look. See this guy here? What does that have to do with the fuck I'm talking about? Try to stay over here, kid. You know, I know you get easily lured in there. You're like a fucking carp in a lake. One lure passes you, you jump on it. Then you're over here. What's that got to do with anything, douchebag? Honestly, all right? Over here. Maybe you need to rest your head. It's all good. Okay? We're going to take a look at DBs. Okay? Over here. Sills, was Roseman a GM when we signed the quarterback from the Raiders? I don't know if he signed Nasi Asamoah. I don't know, or I thought that was Chip stuff. Okay? Me get offended? I get offended by your stupidity, not you, Ryan. I get offended by your stupidity. Hey, you know what? I'm talking about, what happened to this player or that player. And this guy goes, what have you done? I mean, that's the guy that gets his ass kicked at the corner of the bar because he accidentally took somebody's drink or he's looking at somebody's chick and he gets beat up. It's okay, kid. Take the day off. You'll be all right. It was Reed. Reed signed Nandi Asamoah. Oh, that's right. That was the All-Star team. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Player development. Okay. There. Congratulations to you, Prince. I'm glad that you won one today. You could put that another notch in your belt. Wow, you must be really proud. That belt must be filled with notches. That he got Sileo to respond. Congratulations to you. What a prize. I'm happy to do it for you. Anytime you want me to mail you a medal, I will. Congratulations, son. There you go. That's what keeps the show going there. Guys like Prince. I didn't win. Yeah, you did. You got your win. There you go, princess. Okay, yeah. Prince, man. The king of notches. Good. Hey, I got noticed. Every time somebody goes, got him, you know what that means in code? Hey, I'm noticed. It's kind of hard to get my attention, especially these days. It's all good, kid. Xander will join us at 3:30. Our good friend Gary Cobb will join us at 4:30. Hey, I do hope everyone did have a great weekend. Man, has this offseason, all kidding aside, has this offseason flown by? I mean, dude, July 27th is like right around the corner. I mean, right around the corner. Sills, did you have a great weekend? Yeah, when I don't do shit, my wife doesn't ask me to lift anything. Oh, by the way, I have to move something very heavy, so I have to build up my courage for Wednesday. My wife gave me a reprieve until Wednesday. Then I got to move a dresser. Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, so okay, yeah, so I'm doing my best, Izzy. Okay, yeah, I gotta kind of like pace myself. Hey, free Diddy? I don't think so, dog. I think that dude's going down, and maybe he's bringing La Diddy with him. LeBron James. I saw some posts and I saw some pictures of. I'm going to start calling LeBron La Diddy. Is that La Diddy James? They're at a Diddy party. 54 days until training camp. My God, we're here. Hey, La Diddy. LeBron James, La Diddy. Holy shit, man. All right. Let's take a look at this now. Like I said, player development is going to be essential. And I'm not saying he can't do it. Looking at those rankings. Vic's been great the last 10 years as D coordinator. He's been great. Dude, here's how you look at a player's career. Let's take a look at a player's career. What player do you want to look at in one's life? Give me any player you want. More like Letitia James. No comment. Hey. Give me any player. No. I'm talking about a great Hall of Fame player. Give me a great Hall of Fame player. Anquan Bolden. No, he's a Florida State guy, so I'm not going there. Give me another one. Hey, let's do Reggie White. Okay? Actually, let's do Brandon Graham. Let's do Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham. I'm going to show you something. Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham seasons and his career. I want to show you something. Maybe I haven't made it clear enough in how I look at a football player. So here's what I'll do for you. Brandon Graham. This is who Brandon Graham is. So let's take away his best year, which was 2022, at 11 sacks. And what was his worst year? And not the last two, because he's 35, 36. So we'll do it from 22 back. Let's see. His 1, 2, 3, 4th year where he had 3 sacks. Did he get hurt? No. He had 3. So you take those 2 seasons away, and this is who he was. 5.5, 6.5, 5.5, 4, 8.5, 8, 5.5, 3.5. That's who he was. That's what he was. That's not elite. Here, let's take a look at Jalen Hurts. Now, hurts individually. I'm talking about, well, the team. I'm not doing that shit. Here's Hurts' best year, in my opinion, was the 22 season. Is that right? No, the 2022 year. So the 37-01, and his worst season was the 23 season with the 15 turnovers. Here's who he is. 29-03, 31-44, 19 touchdowns, 20 touchdowns, 8 turnovers, 650 yards. That's what he is. That's who he is until otherwise proven different. That's what he is. You take the best year away and the worst year away, and that's how you start to get what a player is. You can't look at a player's best year and go, well, and that's all you guys did. Well, look what he did in 22. Well, shit, I mean, that's not who he is. And by the way, for the record, the 2023 season's not who he is. All right? That's not who he is. So I take the 23 season away, and you take the 22 season away, and you got to looking around what he is. He's 3,200 yards, 3,100 yards, 20 touchdowns, 650 rushing, and that's what he is. And again, it all goes into context of what they're doing offensively. It's not a rip. It's what he is. Dude, I'm not talking about that. That's not fucking what I'm talking. Your team wins. You won a Super Bowl because of your defense and your running game. Plain and simple. I'm not debating it. And again, I'm not shitting on him. Dan Marino's best year when he had that 48 touchdown year, Dan Marino was around 33 TDs, 4,400 yards, 4,500 yards, 13 picks. That's who the player is. You start to get an understanding by seeing consistency. Like A.J. Brown has a different takeaway. Why? Because obviously Tennessee didn't utilize him right. This is a superstar take. This is a superstar take. Graham was too small to play a true 34. No question. Too short. Absolutely true. You played him out wide. You put him out in that 7. He can hang out there on that 7. Brandon's a good ball player. Don't kid yourself. He's a really good football player. I mean, would I want him starting on my defense? Absolutely true. Yes. He's a good player. You hope Nolan Smith turns into that. 5.5, 8, 7.5. If Nolan Smith puts up the kind of number, hey, when you look at that, you think Nolan Smith's going to put up BG numbers? Or are you under the notion that you think that he's going to have a better career than Brandon Graham? Here's Brandon Graham, 5.5, 3, 5.5, 6.5, 5.5, 9.5, 4, 8.5, 8, 11, 3, 3.5. You think he's going to be better? Shit, you're hoping he's this. That's almost 80 sacks. That's 80 sacks. Nolan could be a 10-sack guy. Joshua Uche was already. Joshua Uche. Who else? Who else you got on that roster as a 10-sack guy? What's his name, too? Ojulari. He's like a 7'6", 7'8" guy. Being a double-digit. Jadeveon Clowney, just so you know, was the first player taken in the NFL draft and never had a double-digit sack season in his entire career. And he was paid north of $18 million and one of the higher-paid rush ends in the history of the league. He was never a double-digit sack guy. Azeez Ojulari, or Joshua Uche, Bryce Huff had double digits. Was he better than Clowney? No. Get this. Abe says Clowney sucks. Dude, Clowney, Jadeveon Clowney had the same career that Brandon Graham did. Clowney's not good. Well, let's take a look at that. Clowney. Are you under the impression that Brandon Graham had a better career than Jadeveon Clowney? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He hasn't played 15 years. He's been to the Pro Bowl 3 times. He was first team All AP. 4.5, 6, 9.5, 9, 3, 9, 2, 9.5, 5.5. I see the same guy. BG played on a better team. Okay. BG played on a better team. True. I mean, see, he's got 60 sacks. Brandon's got 15 more and played 5 more years. Okay. Sounds like the same guy to me. I mean, and like I said, I'm not talking about the team. I'm talking about the player. He didn't win those rings, dog. He was on a team that won them rings. That's like telling me Han Dotson's a better player than Randy Moss because he's got a ring. Hey, his numbers are great. How many years did he have 9 sack seasons? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take a look at Brandon. How many years Brandon had? 9 sack years. 1, 2. Great play. Great play. Don't be offended by a guy who's got the same career, just in a different situation. Dude, you do know where you're drafted matters. Some guys are not, when you're the first pick, you're going to a shitty team. You're not going to a great environment or a great situation. Dude, don't get offended by it. They're the same guy. Here, let me see. Brandon averaged how many sacks a year? 6.3. Let's see what Clowney did. Let's see what Clowney averaged in sacks over a career. Brandon may be more. Seven. So Clowney averages more sacks by a little bit, not by much. He absolutely had a better career. How about Eagles player rankings? Sacks don't tell a story, Sills. Look that up. I'm just telling you, dude. When you look at how many Pro Bowls did he make? Let's take a look at how many Pro Bowls Brandon's made in his career versus Clowney's. 1. Clowney's got 3. And a first-team All-Pro. I guess it's how you look at stuff. Remember, I'm talking about players' contracts and what you get paid on. All-Pro teams, Pro Bowls. Those are in your contracts. Okay. I'm telling you that those guys had the same career, just in a different environment. That can be possible, you know. And I can promise you, Clowney made more money. Let's see here. That's a good question. He's 36, and what is Jadeveon Clowney now? Clowney, I think, came out as a junior. If I'm not mistaken, I thought he came out as a junior at South Carolina. Let's see here. Clowney's 31. So, averaged about 7 sacks. He's averaged 7 sacks for his career. Over 11 years. He's not 32 yet. He's 31. His birthday is February 14th. He's 32. You're right. He's 32. 31 when he played last year for Carolina, where he had 5.5. He had 5.5 sacks and 46 tackles. Again, I look at that 5.5 and go, who's on Carolina? Carolina wasn't that hot defensively. Is that garbage numbers? I don't know. Now, again, 31 years old. Is that somebody you look at? Here, let me give you the list before we look at the rooms. Xander's going to join us at the bottom. You know, why is Clowney a journeyman? Because he's chasing money. Just like Adama Sue. Adama Sue is a journeyman. But he had the same career that Fletcher Cox did. I didn't realize that. Both those guys are the same. If I had to pick, I'd probably pick Fletcher because Fletcher was better from beginning to end. You know, I mean, he was better. I think he had 6.5 his last year in Philly. And plus, he could play the run still. Yeah, Sue did a great job, but Sue's career was early, Detroit years. A little bit of Rams and a little bit of Bucks. Can you get B. Dawkins on here? Would be legendary. I can. I'll ask him. Seals, can you take a look at the cornerback from the Browns? I think he may be cut. Absolutely. We'll take a look at all that. Adama and Sue, they're two different positions, obviously, Yale, as you know. One's interior, one's on the perimeter. I think both Fletcher Cox and Adama and Sue are going to knock on the door for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I do not think that both now, there's no question because of the 2 Super Bowls, Brandon Graham, and plus the fact that, you know, you're talking about a continual candidate for Walter Payton Man of the Year, all that. Hey, bro, I'm not dispelling what he did in Philly. But to sit there and take a shit on Clowney's achievements and his career, you'd be crazy. He could match up against anybody in the league. Did he ever live up to being the number 1 overall pick? Jordan Davis hasn't lived up to being the 13th pick. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. See, GQ goes like this. I remember Sue being a dirty player. Me, I look at it being an edgy player. Okay? Right? Here's Ben. Kevin Petula said that Saquon looks like the same as he did last year. I'm surprised, considering the season he just had. Saquon may be going to back-to-back 2K seasons. I don't believe that to save your life. Now, if any O-line can do it, it's that O-line. And I completely agree with what Phil Simms said. I think you have the greatest offensive line in the history of the NFL, and that was last year. That's the best line in my lifetime. The way they ran the ball, I mean, that's the best O-line that I've ever seen. You know why? You've had 3 different Pro Bowl backs. Then when you got a star, he elevated the entire group, even more so, which is frightening on how good that looked. I mean, I will concede this. Okay? I will concede this to you. Because of that old line, there's a shot. There's a shot at that kid going for 2K. Okay? I mean, it's a great group. Like if I had to pick the greatest lines, Steeler lines with 4 and 6. But again, those were non-salary cap teams. Even the Cowboys with the non-salary caps. I mean, in the salary cap era, that Skarnacki New England team had great old lines. Those Skarnacki teams were just great. By the way, I mean, Cam Jurgens, now that Ragnow's retired, who's a better center than him in the NFC? The kid down in Atlanta? Who else? Who would you take from the NFC? The guy in Atlanta and Cam, right? I'm trying to think. Green Bay doesn't. No. I mean, does that make Cam now the best starting center? The guy in Washington, the Hogs were great, but that was, again, pre-cap. That was pre-cap. And again, Steven, I appreciate Creed, but that's AFC. I'm talking about in the NFC. Yeah, I'm with you, Abe. I think it's Linderbaum and Jurgens and the kid from Atlanta. Linderbaum is the kid in Baltimore. Yeah, that kid down in Atlanta's good. Yeah, well, the guy just retired. Ragnow retired. Ragnow retired. He retired today. So, oh my God. Here, let's do this. Before I even keep going here. That's a massive loss for the Lions. That is an enormous loss. Dude, that's a bigger loss than your offensive coordinator. Losing him. You lose your coordinator and your starting center? Good grief. That will be a problem. Let me tell you something. I'm going to put Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis's ass on that center when I play him, and we're about to find out how much of a loss that is. I'm going to line them guys up, and I'm coming for you. What an absolutely enormous loss that is for Detroit. I mean, that's like that's like losing Aiden Hutchinson before training camp. That's correct. Jared Goff doesn't get time. You could let me tell you this. Let me say this to you now. With Ragnow retiring and you losing your coordinators, and if I'm not mistaken, I think you lost a guard. I don't know. You think Detroit's going to be the same offensive line? Just because you have the 2 tackles in Penei Sewell? Shit, you lost Mekhi Becton. Okay. Doesn't that show you here? Look at this. The Eagles, I think, talent-wise, took a step back this offseason. But that gap was still so wide that maybe you went here, and then all of a sudden Detroit loses a center. That widens it again without Philly doing shit. Philly is like right here with everybody. You know, last year you were probably like this. Now you're here. That's still enough to win 13, 14 ball games. The gap hasn't closed enough. They lost Ragnow and their left guard. Yeah, that's fucking huge. That's as big as the Eagles losing players on defense. But the Eagles feel they have guys who can roll in. Does Detroit? You won a lot of games a year ago. Okay? Thanks, guys, for the super chat. Kimberly, thank you. Mundan in high school played QB, running back, wide receiver. Shows you what kind of athlete he was. Remember what Jay Gruden said about Travis Hunter? Playing offense first so he can understand defensive understanding better. High on him. I'll tell you what, Kimberly, that's exactly what they're doing in Jacksonville. He's lining up. He played none in the first OTAs on the defensive side of the football. They lined him up exclusively on offense at wide receiver, Travis Hunter. Just so you know that they're going down that lane with Liam Cohn, the new head football coach. Absolutely. Eagles' true threat isn't Detroit, it's Washington and LA. Okay? This is true. We lose Kelsey and Jurgens slips in and makes the Pro Bowl and upgrades the O-line. They're better without Kelsey. Kelsey was playing at about 70% with the gas can filled. Jurgens is playing with 95% to 100% of the gas can filled. He's got more energy. He's a stronger player, and he doesn't have the wear and tear. Now, he got banged up. That back is a concern. But the Eagles don't think it's that much of a concern because they gave him a contract extension. Okay? So I feel comfortable with that. They know what they're doing with protecting their players. I'm wrong. I'm wrong on it. And they don't want to play him in the exhibition. Let me tell you this. You'll never hear this again. You got to play these guys in the exhibition season. Why? They've been to 2 Super Bowls and won one of them. Should have won both of them. They've been to the playoffs every year. It's a dumb comment. I've ended that. I have ended that comment. There's none of this here. Oh, you got to play in the pro season. You got to preseason. You got to get guys. No, that's out. There's too much of an exercise here. Seals, didn't we lose our OC and starting center? Yes. And you're better. Absolutely. You will never hear me ever say, ever again, got to get these guys. You got to play these guys in the exhibition season. That's not going to happen here. All right. OTAs today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. I don't believe that the media is given. Hey, I'm going to tell you another thing. Pretty soon, you're not going to be able to go out there. And you're not going to be able to go out there at all and watch the team. You're probably going to have these scrums pretty soon just at the stadium where you can get some kind of, or these organized press conferences that they have at NovaCare. All right. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Gary Cobb will join us. That'll be at 4:30. By the way, so I loved Xander last week. This thing got over 10K last week. Xander's sitting in his old man's rocking chair. He's at Cape May. He's having burgers and dogs. And this dude just drops a 10K on us. Just like that, man. We get to 54 days from today to the start of training camp. Where did this offseason go? Without further ado, our good friend, Big J, Xander Kraus joins us now.
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother? Happy Monday, man.
You bet, man. And by the way, happy Veterans Month. Everybody gets to honor the veterans this month, and I hope everybody gets an opportunity. I know we're huge here with that. So, again, now I'm going to ask you a question.
June is also, Sileo, June is also the month of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, for those who celebrate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely
month,
great. Xander, after further ado, are we giving Howie too much love for what he did last Friday in getting rid of Bryce Huff and sending him to the 49ers?
Well, anytime you get rid of a guy like Bryce Huff, it's a good day. All right. Now, the numbers that were originally reported, though, were a little off. I mean, we thought we got a bunch of cap space cleared up. It's a little bit spread out over more time. So you don't quite get that big of a hit in year one. But no, I mean, here's my one thing with this. If you have the presumption, which everybody should, that your general manager will make mistakes. They will not be perfect. No matter if you're the Yankees, the Eagles, anybody in any sport. If you have that presumption, then the next best thing to have is somebody that knows how to correct those mistakes better than the rest of the pack. Howie has a propensity to do that. He's gotten much better at it, and you move off this contract much quicker than anybody else thought. I mean, the reality is, Sills, if another team in the league signed a player to that size of a contract, they would not have been able to move off it after 1 year this quick with this little ramification. So again, he's not going to be perfect. It wasn't a great move, but to get out of it the way we did is a big thing, and it definitely deserves some accolade. I mean, I get it, right? Why are you praising a guy for correcting what he did wrong? Well, again, if your presumption is that you're going to get some things wrong, you have to be ready to shake and bake when you do get that thing wrong, inevitably. And he got it wrong. He shuffled off it very quickly, and he did a damn good job at it. So maybe a little too much love when you thought the $15 million, but overall, I do think he deserves some love for it.
Man, but I think pivoting is a thing.
I agree.
I mean, I think it's a thing. How many times do you see players and organizations dying on the vine with guys, and they're just there, and you're like, dude, why haven't? It's always like, I'd say 85% of the league moves late, not when they need to. Like you said, okay, so the Wentz thing fell to pieces. They draft and get it right with Hurts. They draft Rager. It stinks. They land on Devontae and they land on AJ. Okay, so they get it wrong with Bryce Huff. They pivot off it, get away from him, and they're putting a lot of stock in Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt. I don't know, man. I mean, I think pivoting matters. I want a general manager that takes swings, and when he sees it immediately, he doesn't have to go, he fucked up, Xander. He fucked up by the moves he makes counterwise to it when you see what he does. It's how he doesn't have to come out and go, hey, I made a mistake with Jalen Rager. I made a mistake here with this. Just watch his actions. That, to me, there's a value in that. And not every general manager has that propensity to be able to make a mistake go away that quick. I think that's a talent too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. Now, maybe we went too far with giving him credit, but I'm with you 100%. I agree.
Now, I want you to follow me on this. Oh, by the way, before I get to this, let me ask you this. So I had a conversation with an agent, and the guys from Vanguard Sports will represent Von Miller. Now, this doesn't mean that Howie's signing the kid. That does not mean that. You're trying to tell me, how many times have we heard this conversation about Howie Roseman? He calls every general manager every single month, and he finds out what market value is, who's available, who's not available. Maybe there's a kid down from 40 down on a 53-man roster. They're always looking to try to find a deal, like you say, a C.J. Gardner-Johnson, or whether it's a Zach Bond or what have you. All right. So $17.5 million a year ago is what Von Miller made. There's no way in the world he's going to get anything close to that. Would you have any interest in bringing
him? Is that what he got, Stills? 17.5?
17.5 last year.
Well, that's rich. That is rich.
For a 35-year-old guy, absolutely.
Yeah, that's rich. That's Bryce Huff money, man.
Yeah, but the difference is this guy produced on a team that won the division.
That's fair.
And again, he was on the bench with a team that won the Super Bowl, and they didn't even want him on the field. So there's a difference here. Now, if you're bringing a guy like that in for $5 million, would that be something to take a look at to at least, can you imagine Von Miller in a room with Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt? And remember, he played for Vic from 19 to 21 when Vic was the head football coach of the Broncos.
Yeah, I think $5 million makes sense because you're also getting, and I try not to put the mentor box on players because I understand, like Joe Flacco, I'm not sure if anybody heard him talk about this. He's like, I mean, I get it's inevitably a part of it, but that's not my job. Like I'm here because I believe I can be a football player, you know, and help this team win. And that comes first. But I do think having a guy that's been that's that experience, that has that type of, you know, ability and has obviously been around that long would help, especially two younger players and Jalen Hunt and Nolan Smith. You know, just a good leader by example, right? I mean, see how he does business, see the way he handles himself. How does he take care of his body at 35 years old? What are the things he does, you know, differently to set himself apart from the packs? Those things. I think it could be worth it for that. I don't know what you're going to get on the field, though, Sills. I really don't. I mean, I don't know how much.
Well, he did have 6.5 sacks last year. I mean, and it was more in a role where he was in and out a year ago.
Yeah, but remember, this defense that we ran isn't really sack conducive. Like our leading sack guy had 8.5 last year and we had the best defense in football. So like sacks are not a prerequisite for our defense to be good, right? It's the other way around. They can be an added bonus. They can be icing. They can be sprinkles, but they're not needed for us to thrive in the defense we're running. So I mean, that stat, what does that stat mean? I don't know. Can he play the run? Can he set the edge? Can he do the things that Nolan Smith does well, even though he's a little bit of a smaller edge rusher? I don't know. I mean, you know, can Vaughn still do that at 35? That's a question that Vic Fangio and Howie Roseman would have to answer.
Okay, well, let me ask you how much autonomy you think Vic has in that decision.
A lot.
If Vic wanted him, do you think Howie would sign him?
Yep, I do. He wanted Huff gone. Howie paid $18 million to a guy last year, and Vic Fangio said, I don't want him.
And $9.5 this year to go away.
Right. Howie said, I need Zach Bond. Howie paid the biggest linebacker contract he's ever paid in his life. I want 2 corners last year. Cooper DeJean. Now, I don't know if that's how it went. I'm just using it as an example, though. I mean, this year, I like Jahad Campbell. I like the versatile player. Boom. Spent your first-round pick on him. I mean, it's clear that Vic Fangio has the ear of Howie Roseman, and rightfully so. I mean, he look at what he did with the defense last year. There's not many coordinators that would have made that particular group of players the number 1 overall defense. He did. So he's earned it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just calling it what it is. I think it's a good thing, honestly. I think he's helped Howie or helped the front office pick better defensive players.
What if Vic wanted if he wanted Justin Simmons and say a Von Miller on the team to add to the group and to the young football team and veterans like that, what did we say? Almost everybody on that team outside of Reed Blankenship and Zach Bond is 24 or under, or 25 and under. You put veteran guys like that out there. And again, you're right with one aspect here. How much is in the gas can left? Now, my question would be, what's left in the gas can versus what do I have in my locker room? If I have a guy like a Von Miller, who I'm going to get a 70% Von Miller compared to what Von Miller used to be, and I turn around and look, 70% is better than anything I have in my room right now, I'm going to look at the price tag and go, is that affordable for me on a 1-year contract to bring that guy in? And am I taking reps away from my younger guys? Because that's something I don't want to do either. I still think there's room to be made here, especially post June 1 here. So, again, I still think that there's some maneuvering to go around. I got to throw this off you here, Xander. Boy, when I heard this made me pause here a little bit. And I disagree with a lot of people that are covering this story. I think this is going to be a bigger deal. Andrew Brandt, who's the former general manager of the Green Bay Packers, who has been on our network a bunch of times. He's really well respected. And he was bringing this up, and he pointed it out to the commissioner. And last week, this was the commissioner's words in an email that went around the league. The NFL commissioner believes there is widespread speculation and concern within the league that the Eagles are using the voidable years and cash over cap strategies to manipulate their salary cap. These strategies allow the Eagles to temporarily reduce their cap burden by pushing expenses into the future years, giving them a competitive edge. I'm sorry, dude. When I hear that, that's going to be something that's going to be addressed and being addressed by the owners. As a player, I dig that. I'm good with it. I don't have a problem with it. General manager come to me going, I'm going to promise you more money up front, less money on the back end. Well, shit, how many guys live deals out? Look at what Bryce Harvey just signed a $51 million deal, and that money now is being deferred out. He's going someplace else. Players don't live contracts out. Do you think this could be a concern moving forward as Howie, again, the league is coming after him right now. What do you make of the commissioner's comments?
Yeah, I mean, look, there is a loophole here, though, where Howie's exploited it better than anybody else. I mean, if you don't want the loophole, then close it. Now, that's what they're trying to do, and that's obviously going to hurt Howie, but I'm not going to sit here and act like Howie's done anything wrong. Technically, Howie and the owner, by the way, Jeffrey Lurie is a big part of this because he's the one who's willing to open that checkbook and just say, write the checks, let's structure these contracts the right way. Howie's done a better job. I mean, go ask a billionaire what they do with tax breaks. Yeah, you know, I mean, do you think they sit there and say, you know what? Maybe it was ethical. You're right. Maybe I should have paid the tax. No, they sit there and say the loophole's there. I took the loophole. You know, that's what Howie's done. Now, to your point, obviously they're cracking down on it. And I think the Eagles are maybe a couple steps ahead than we might think on this. I mean, you could make an argument, and I'm not saying this is true, but you could make an argument that the what they've done this summer with bookkeeping would insinuate that they're getting prepared for this era.
That's exactly right.
Where they've moved on from other from contracts that they don't want. They've gotten all younger guys that are really foundational pieces, or at least identified as that right now. So maybe they're prepared for that a little more than we think, but it is going to matter. I mean, for the people who think, you know, there will be other loopholes, other things will come of this. Howie will continue to thrive because it does do his job well, but this is a big close. This would be a big loophole close because this is what's allowed us to make, like, when people look and say, how did the Eagles sign all these guys on all? How did they pay Jalen and then AJ and then Devontae and then Saquon and then 4 offensive linemen? And this is how, right? This is the loophole that allows those things to happen. So there will be other loopholes. The Eagles will still be at the front of the pack. But this loophole particularly will have a big effect on the Philadelphia Eagles because, you know, you see the numbers. There's $2.4 billion of voidable year contracts across the NFL. The Eagles account for over 400 million of it. All right. And that's number one in the league by almost double the next closest team, which is the 49ers. San Francisco 49ers. So you're taking advantage and you are benefiting from this loophole far more than any other football team. It is fair to say when that's removed, that's going to hurt you more than others. Now, you know, again, if you have good players, you have good contracts, you should be able to maneuver just like they did with Bryce Huff, just like they did with Carson Wentz, as you've talked about, just like they did with Jalen Reagor. The way that they do things is pretty sound from a business perspective. I would expect it still is, but this is going to be an interesting one to see how much this affects the Eagles and then also what do they do to try and continue, you know, or keep this roster as much together as they can?
Here's something you have to keep in mind too with this talk. How much is the cap going to continue to go up? It's gone up between 15 and 18%. Is that going to escalate more? Or are you going to see owners start to put a handle on that cap? Xander, they're not going to continue to let these salaries escalate.
I agree.
Where you're now, don't you agree? 10 players, the top 10 quarterbacks, not one of them has a winning record in the postseason. Not one of them. Most of these guys are 500 or below. Most of these guys have never won there's not one quarterback in the top 10 that has won a Super Bowl that you're paying. I mean, you're paying enormous money for good players. You're not paying enormous money for great players. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When you're paying Jared Goff $53 million,
yeah, I agree.
Or you're paying Trevor Lawrence $55 million, those are decent players. Those aren't exceptional guys. You know, do you really want the market? Isn't the market growing more every year financially, but not really seeing the return on investment?
Yeah.
Like, you know, hey, you're a businessman. When you put money into something, don't you want a bigger return on investment?
You
right?
got
you want a 3-to-1.
Or else you're kaput.
You want 3-to-1, right? You want 3-to-1 minimum on your return on what you're looking for, correct? Well,
I mean, that's a decent rule of thumb.
What are you getting when you're paying Kyler Murray $47 million and this guy fumbles around, and they keep telling me, well, there's potential, he looks good, and you keep going around. You're 8-9, you're 9-8, you're floating around that. That's not my return. I'm not looking to pay $50 million for that.
No, I think you're right.
They're going to put a cap on this.
Yeah, I think you're right. But here's my question with this. All right. And I want everybody, I'm not insinuating anything with this, but I want to look at this from a broader perspective. And I just think it's a good topic, a good thing to discuss kind of in the offseason here as we sit on June 2nd. But I would zoom out and I would just say, to Sileo's point, but also league wide, I think the NFL is in a really rare spot right now where TV deals keep going up. Contracts keep going up. Like you just said, you're now paying good players money. And this is all because the cap keeps going up, because the TV deals keep getting bigger. And it's the number one TV show that exists anymore on cable television. And everybody's bidding to get the NFL. And right now it's like 5, 6, 7 networks. And all they keep doing is pushing the number higher because Amazon comes in here and then NBC and then ESPN. And it's never ending. And I think at some point that's going to end, because if you look and you're like 99% of television cable, shows have fallen off in ratings. Absolutely. There's one that, including the NBA, the NHL, and the MLB. The only one that hasn't fallen off is the NFL. Now, there's a lot of positive to that. That shows you how good their product is. But it also shows you they are the exception and not the rule. And the minute one thing goes wrong, or the minute one company doesn't get the return, or the minute things slow down a little bit, or they make a bad PR move, whatever the case might be, that crutch isn't as solid, as it once was. And I wonder if the owners might almost force something in, basically, to kind of put the cap on this, like you've put, because I think the growth right now, while so impressive, is slightly unsustainable. I mean, Sills, we paid Carson Wentz a max contract. He was the highest paid player in the NFL. That wasn't that long ago.
No.
That was 30, I think it was 32 or 33 or 34, 5 million, somewhere in there. Was it 38? I mean, we're getting $60 million deals 5 years later. That is not a sustainable rate of growth. So I do kind of look at this like, and again, I'm not making any insinuations. I don't know what's going to happen. It's possible that they continue to explode, but all of TV is going like this. Yeah. The NFL is going like this. Like, that's right. Where's the crossroads at where that's going to stop being as beneficial as it is right now for the NFL? It's a very thought-provoking conversation, and I'm sure the owners are on top of it, but I do wonder where that line is.
The greatest negotiating thing that the NFL Players Association with Gene Upshaw did was that he tied, Xander, the salary cap into the TV deals. Because no matter what, like you said, the ratings are going to continue to go up. The problem that the NFL owners are now facing is this. Our sport is better than the guys we're paying. It's more visible. There's more eyeballs. Our sport is growing. It's not because of the players, dude. It's because of the game. You are looking at guys who are giving you the same amount of effort that you did 5 years ago, but you're paying them 3 times more money. Dude, look at what you're paying Baker Mayfield. This guy's been cut 4 times. You're paying him $30 million. He's going to
go close to home.
Free agent. He's going to
look at what you're paying Bryce Huff, Sills. Look at Baker Mayfield, because he's a quarterback, right? He can change your win losses. Look at what Bryce Huff is making, right? Like, dude, this is where I do think it's about to, it's gotten out of hand. But again, it is a power to the business, right? I mean, we cover the most powerful television program, the most powerful sport on earth. I mean, look, we have people in here right now, in June, listening to football conversation. That's how it works. So it is dominant, and I'm not taking away from that. But I do think you're right. Like, I don't think the owners want to continue at this rate. I mean, there's no way, man. It just doesn't make sense. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of happens in the next 5 to 10 years, because I think they're in a really good spot, but I do think you don't want to overplay your hand.
Reed Blankenship, $10 million? Really? Is that where we're going? I don't want to pay that guy $10 million. I think he's a good ball player, Xander.
Right.
But $10 million? No. And then you start to look at it, like you say, before you know it, the owners are looking like this. Hey, I get it. The owners, the wealth, the value of the team's going up. Everything is going up for them. But they're business dudes, dude. they're not going to continue to pay marginal players or really good players exceptional money. Look at Dak. Dak's making 60. What the fuck has he done? Why would I pay Dak 60? Why? Because he's a quarterback in the face of the biggest TV show on the planet?
Well, that's because he's more of a he's more honestly. Dak is interesting because I do think Dak is a good quarterback. But to your point, like, yeah, he has not done $60 million worth of dominance. I mean, when you're talking about these guys, but this shows you, Sills, this is now so much bigger than football, dude. Dak Prescott is, I liken him to a movie star. Okay.
Right.
I liken him to an entertaining figure
like the
that
Rock.
is the leader in the Dallas Cowboys organization at this moment in time. All right. Their favorite TV show comes on every year from September to December, and it ends in January because they're the Dallas Cowboys and they never do anything in the playoffs. But that's it. That's what Dak is. He's no longer, I'm a $60 million quarterback. He said, I'm a $60 million star, right? I'm a $60 million figure, media mogul, personality, face of a franchise, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. He's playing a role, and the NFL has gotten to that point where, they have negotiating power there with how big of a brand they give players forever. Like I would say to you now, players that play in the NFL and achieve max contract deals, they have a much better chance, and I'm sure there's statistics on this, but they have a much better rate of success post-NFL career than what it was 20 or 30 or 40 years ago because the exposure that they have. I mean, exposure is money. We all know that. The more views we get on this show, the better the show is doing. Exposure is money. Branding is money. So these players all have these massive brands now because of what we've talked about, where the NFL has become this conglomerate, massive entity, the biggest TV show on the planet every single year now. I mean, it's pretty amazing where it's going, but eventually it feels like it's not going to go up forever.
It's not. Brady just signed a 10-year, $375 million contract with Fox.
To be a color commentator.
To be a commentator. He's making more now than he ever made as a professional football player in the history of his career. So, I mean, to your point, look at Tony Romo. Look at Troy Aikman. They're making more money now than they ever made in their entire career. I think the NFL owners, you see the commissioner doing that, Xander? The next CBA, and by the way, don't tell me about 2030. The NFL owners can rip anything up at any moment and renegotiate on the drop of a hat. If they think this thing, and I think in the next 2 years, you're going to start seeing more of a controlled cap and more of a controlled environment with salaries. They try to control you with positions. People don't realize this. Quarterbacks get paid a lot. Centers don't. Left tackles get paid a lot. Centers don't. Edge rushers as a group get paid more than D tackles. That's the way you control it. Linebackers don't get paid a lot. Corners get paid a lot. Safeties don't get paid a lot. That's how they control it. I think that's how they're going to start manipulating. And I think this is a conversation that this is going to affect the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, let me go into, again here. We'll read your super chats, I promise. Please hit the like button here. So I'm going to read you two groups on the Eagles going into the OTAs here. Will linebacker, Nolan Smith. Left defensive end, Moro Jomo. Nose tackle, Jordan Davis. Right DE, Jalen Carter. Your strong side linebacker, which is your edge guys, Azeez Ojulari and Jalix Hunt. Now, look at the secondary. Left corner, Q. Your safety is Reed. You got Sidney behind him. Your free safety is a rookie. And Andrew Makuba, this is the new release depth chart that came out this morning. Right cornerback, you have Keely Ringo. In your nickel, you have Cooper DeJean. Which group are you more concerned with?
The edge rusher room is really light. I mean, I said to you earlier, and we were talking about some names pre-show, and, I'm not saying I'm out. I'm not saying I don't believe that they can be good, because I do believe they can be good, but I'm also acknowledging the objective truth is that you're relying on a lot of hope, a lot of players that are potential. You know, as Sileo always says, potential is a bad word in my book because it means you haven't done it. And we have a lot of that right now at the edge rusher room. I mean, just a reality. And I said to you pre-show, you know, none of these names excite me, Sills, because I almost feel like they've backed themselves into a corner where if the guys they have in the room don't work, they're not going to be good. So, like, I don't think you have the options now with what's available on the market. You know, if you're not going to go for a guy like a Trey Hendrickson or a TJ Watt, how the heck are you going to, you know, be good? And I don't see that right now. Like you said the names, 36-year-old Von Miller, Zadarius Smith, Carl Lawson. I'm sorry, but those are Robert Quinns. Maybe worse. Robert Quinn had 14 sacks a year before we got him. All right. We're like, I almost feel like we're past the point of where we could have got a guy, and now you need the guys in the room to be good or to work out.
Boy, this secondary is, to me, really a huge question mark. I mean, Makuba, Keeley, and the heart of your football team. And let me say this to you too: if you don't get the defensive line play that Milton and Josh gave you, remember Moro Jomo was a rotation piece. Now he's going to be asked to be the centerpiece. Who's your rotation guy? Is it going to be Ty Robinson? That's another question mark. I don't know what I feel more concerned about. I wonder what the Eagles feel more concerned about, because I'll tell you what, in the draft, they were looking at all kinds of safeties. What told me a lot about how they looked at their secondary, Xander, by the visits they had. Look how many visits they had with guys at corner and safety when they were pre-draft guys, right? They were looking more at that position than they were looking at the edge room. And so you're right with the edge room, but I think this secondary, man, Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson are going to fight out for a corner spot. Holy cow. Boy, are you really hoping. Again, that's a hope battle. The Makuba kid over Tristan McCullum? Gee, what kind of battle is that? Reed, I'm good with. Q, of course, and Cooper. Me, look, I think you can get away with Nolan Smith and Morrow. Aziz is the problem in the depth. You're right. But the interior of the defense, I'm going to be still pretty good with more. I'm okay with Moro Jomo and Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Zach Bond behind them. And I get what you're saying on edge. But boy, that secondary, I see a lot of holes there, dude. A lot of question marks. I think they got more concerns on that secondary.
I think you make a good point. I think it's kind of a push, right? I mean, both of them are a little bit of an issue. Now, both of them could work out. Makuba could be a great player, but it's a big ask to have a rookie step up and be the kind of guy that Cooper DeJean or Quinyon Mitchell was last year. So that's going to be an uphill battle, you know. And Sills, you saying all those names just made me think about, I'm not sure if you caught it this morning, but we kind of ran through some names on defense. I mean, we have drastic change coming to the Philadelphia Eagles in the next 3 years. Now, it might not happen all right away. It might be slow and steady for the next couple of years, but just hear me out. If you keep Jalen Carter, $35 million a year minimum. If you keep Nolan Smith, it's $25 million a year minimum. If you keep Quinyon Mitchell, it's $30 million a year minimum. If you keep Cooper DeJean, it's going to be $25 million a year minimum. If you keep Blankenship, you're talking about $10 million a year. If you keep a Jomo, you're talking about if he plays good enough, you're talking about 10 plus. If you keep Jalix Hunt, you're talking about $20 million a year guy if he pans out at the edge rusher. So just, I don't know, add all those up in your head, everybody. That money's got to come from somewhere.
And then the $175 you're paying currently now on your offensive side.
Exactly.
I mean, the cap is going up. It's not going up $300 million in the next few years. Do you think the Eagles overplayed their hand this offseason? What I mean by that is, by all the losses. Oh, how about this? Not losses. Let's rephrase that. By creating more question marks.
I think they went over aggressive on not falling into the traps that they fell into last time they went to the Super Bowl. Now, you could maybe argue they went too aggressive, but like anybody they had even the slightest question on, they've removed them. Think about it. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, geez, he's still a cheap safety for us under contract for $8 million. You don't want to keep him? No, get him out of here. Get that contract off the books. Bryce Huff, get him off the books. Darius Slay, off the book. Anybody that there was a slight question on, they moved on from, versus in the past, I feel like they went for those guys a little bit more, even after the 22 team, and I think they kind of just wanted to get out ahead of it, maybe knowing that their best chance to be back would be in 2 seasons, not 1. Now, I think they're going to be prepared to try and compete for the Super Bowl this year, but the moves they make this year does give them a good chance at building up the team for years to come. And I gave you some of the names where, they got big contracts to pay soon. So we're going to see what they end up doing, but I don't think they went too far. I just think they were really aggressive in they made a line in the sand. If you didn't fall on the right side of that line, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. They were getting you out, whether it was a trade for Kenyon Green and a 7th rounder just to clear your contract or whatever it was. So I think they were a little bit more aggressive with it this offseason, this time after the Super Bowl.
Do you think they're cash strapped?
No.
Boy, they sure act like it.
Well, I just told you the names.
Or is it this? Wait a minute. Or is it this? They just want to stay disciplined.
But it's not. I don't think it's cash strapped. I think it's they know if they want to operate the way they have up to this point, they need cash. And they have, think about it. I told you, the numbers I just gave you, they were yearly contracts. What are you going to give Jalen Carter in a bag of cash and guarantees? 100 million? 120? Let's call it 50 million in guarantees for Nolan. Let's call it 75 million in guarantees for Quinion. That's 225. Call it another 75 for Cooper. That's 300 million. Blankenship's probably 20 million guaranteed. That's $320 million in cash money. Escrow, boom. So I don't know if they're cash strapped. I think to Kimberly's point, they just want to be a little bit more disciplined because they know if they want to be competitive in the future with the amount of good players they have to keep signing good contracts. And that requires money up front.
We will read supers here in a second. Guys, do me a favor. Hit that like button.
Can I ask you, do you know this? Doesn't winning the Super Bowl make the Eagles a lot of money, though? I know there's a lot of, a big profit share in the NFL. Does it not make them any more money?
No. Nope.
Nothing.
Every team, nope. That's what makes the league the league. Here's what.
What about merchandise? I'm sure merchandise or something.
Maybe in that because
listen, probably.
But remember this though, Xander. Every single team shares the exact amount on TV. And this is what I always try to tell people. If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles, the Jags made more money than you last year because of taxes, because of profit sharing. Yeah. Now, you're going to make more with tickets because more people go to Eagle games and Jag games. You're going to sell more merchandise. But I think there's only 3 or 4 teams like the Raiders, the Cowboys, and I think there's one other team, the Giants, that have a separate marketing deal. Everything else is shared. It's profit sharing. That's what makes it crazy. And that's what makes Jeffrey Lurie special because he wants to win. The Bidwills don't want to win. They want to win at the cash register. They don't want to win they don't want to win on the scoreboard. Half the league wants to win, Xander. The other half doesn't want to win. It's just the way. I mean, you really think that Woody Johnson with the Jets wants to win?
That's money, Sills. It's business. At the end of the day, we love the game, but the game is a game. All right. The real game that's being played is with the dollars and cents. Let's be real.
No, get this too. In player contracts, there's no incentives for winning the Super Bowl. There's nothing.
Well, there is for some players, right? Like Saquon had Saquon had I thought $1 million bonus, or Jalen did or something.
I know this. Every player that
is that head coach?
That's head coach.
I thought there was somebody gets a bonus for going to the Super Bowl, or is that only college?
They got it is college. They got $198,000, Xander, for winning the Super Bowl. Every player. The losing team had $98,000. It's collectively bargained.
Right,
and get this, and how about this? Right, if you're a coach and you go to the semis, you get $1.5 million. If you're Kirby Smart and you get to the championship game, you get an additional $1 million. That doesn't work for NFL because it's collectively bargained. All right, let me ask you this. Let's see if you and Stevie can give me this back here on the kind of names we're
Tell
looking at
Stevie
here.
to shut up before I come over there and shut him up myself. No, I'm just kidding. I love you,
Don't
Stevie.
listen to him, Stevie. I love you, baby.
I love you, Stevie. I got you, Stevie. It's all right, buddy.
Man. Okay, Matt Judon. Would you have an interest in him?
Does he fit? Can he do what Vic wants him to do? I don't really know. I mean, all these names. Are you about to give me 5 fucking old geezers?
No, it's Darius Smith. I'm good with that guy. The kid in Detroit that was in Cleveland?
Be honest, Sileo. Wait. Let me walk you through a scenario. The National Football Show is airing live, all right? The date is July 20th, right before camp. It's 2:34 in the afternoon, and you're 30 minutes into your open. I put in the private chat, breaking news, the Eagles have signed Zadarius Smith to a 1-year deal.
I like it.
You say what? Does that really help the Eagles win?
Yeah, because the Eagles are not looking at that position as a priority where they have to have an elite guy. I heard John this morning make one comment that was so great. They're not making a $32 million decision over there on edge. But if you want to make a $5 or $6 million decision over there to create some depth and another body that could be productive, that helps me. And by the way, does it kill me if I sign a guy to a 1-year deal at $5 or $6 million? No, as long as I don't have to give up. Remember something why that Robert Quinn deal sucked. Remember, there was a draft pick involved with it. That's what made that deal suck. If you just signed that guy for $3 million and you brought him in and he shit the bed, I'm all right with that move. I'm taking swings again. But because there was a 3rd or 4th rounder involved in that, that's what made that deal a bad move. So when I see you come to me and you go, Jadeveon Clowney, who averages 7 sacks in his career, and he's 31 years old, and he could be here. Nolan Smith. Here, let me get that look at that. Nolan Smith.
Is he 1 hit away from turning into a bag of dust, though? That's my question.
At $5 million? I mean, but get this. You went $17 million, and one guy turned into a bag of Wheaties. I mean, you gave a guy $17 million.
Yeah, Bryce Huff, he wasn't even a bag of dust.
He was a pumpkin.
He was a bag of coal. He was coal.
But if Jadeveon Clowney comes in and he gives you 5 sacks at $4 million, what are we talking about here? That's a steal. That's a Howie steal, isn't it?
Yeah, again, I guess.
I'm not. Now, here's the one thing where
I guess you're not really selling me on these names. I'm sorry, you're not.
Well, you're not really selling me on the names you have on the roster right now outside of Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith either.
Which is why my point earlier on this show was these dudes better play or else we're toast, because none of the names we're proposing are going to fix it. The only guys who can fix this are the guys who are supposed to be ascending, and Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, and Azeez Ojulari, and Uche, Joshua Uche.
Hey, by the way,
Josh.
These guys are all one-hit wonders too. Okay? Here, let me give you another one here. Let me go to DBs. Let me go to corner. Asante Samuel Jr. versus Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo. Really?
Can't hit. He's a West Coast corner. Keep him in the AFC. I don't want him.
Well, what do you have?
What do you mean? Keely Ringo's at least physical. Hey, listen, for all the knocks on the guy, at least you can say he's not afraid to put his nose on somebody.
Jesus,
I mean, come on.
Okay,
that's one knock. He's too physical.
I saw a guy just get $8 million playing in your secondary, not putting a lick on
he was
anybody.
A third guy. He was a rotational piece when 38-year-old.
And he just signed a contract to be a starter in Minnesota.
Overpay.
Okay. What about Rasul Douglas? Bringing him back.
I like Rasul Douglas. I liked him when he was in Philly. We threw him out of here. I mean, we didn't give him a chance to develop. He had a lot of good years in Green Bay after that.
He was good.
I don't know where he played last year.
Not in Buffalo either.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I'd be maybe open to that. How old is he?
30? He's got to be, right? Because he
was
drafted
up there a little bit, yeah.
Was he drafted? Was he drafted during Doug?
Maybe. I mean, I got to look into how good he was last year and stuff and maybe watch some tape on him. But, you know, I think the big thing here is we don't just acquire, you know, we got to acquire players that Fangio likes or else it just doesn't work. You know, like, let me ask you this. What do you think Bryce Huff's going to be this year in San Francisco? You think he's going to get any sacks? I put the over under at 6.5. in San Francisco, Johnny Mack didn't hesitate, and he smashed the over because he's like, Salah knows how to use them.
Yeah, that's a guy who wants to be right. Well, let me put it to you here.
If you didn't lie about that, Johnny, nobody loves being right more than Johnny Mack.
Let me just put this out there to you. If Robert Saleh thought he was so great, he was still the freaking head football coach of the Jets. You mean to tell me that was just a sole Joe Douglas deal where he said,
no,
okay,
Joe Douglas, he showed up in Philly last week and said, get this stiff off this roster.
Right, and guess who picked him up? To me, that was more of a fuck job back at Joe Douglas from Robert Saleh.
You might be right. You honestly might be right about that.
So think it always think of the tie-ins. Okay?
Yeah.
Robert Saleh did that to stick it to Joe because he's in Philly. And Robert Saleh wanted to keep that guy. And he ended up with 2.5 sacks. What would you make? And again, I'm going to make a point after I name these names because you kind of peeled the onion back on me a bit. What about bringing a guy like Stephon Gilmore in? He was pretty good last year.
I mean, he's one of those dudes who does seem to be aging incredibly, where like it just hasn't fallen off. You know, I mean, he's
like
a really
Slay.
good player. Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I mean, wouldn't you have just kept Slay at that point? I mean, a guy who's been here, who played in the
Not
system.
at $10 million.
What do you think he's going to be worth?
5? Dude, if you're here now on June 2nd,
I'd make that move.
10.
I'd make that move because I think that's your, but that's why they paid Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson got decent money. It was like 3.5.
Well, then they're not going corner. They're going to hang on that guy.
Yeah. Which I don't know. Because I don't hate that. The idea of coming into this season with Stephon Gilmore, with Cooper Quinion, and having that rotation of Gilmore and Ringo and potentially Adoree, I feel much better about that.
6?
Yeah. At 6, I don't hate it.
Man.
Actually, I might go as far as to say I like that one.
How about Justin Simmons at 6?
Kind of guy's kind of falling off.
What's your alternative at the other spot?
I think I'd rather let the young guy try and go and earn it. You know, I think I'd rather let Makuba try and learn his way out there. I think the upside is bigger. You might have some growing pains early in the year, but growing pains in the year early shouldn't scare anybody, especially Eagles fans. If any of you are scared after week 4 next year, me included, we got problems. All right. So I'm not afraid of growing pains early. I think you get a bigger upside in the long term. You know, I don't know. I've never been bought into this Justin Simmons idea. I just don't see it. I don't see him coming in and making it. It's Kevin Byard. It's not a help.
I'm looking at guys that tie in with Vic that played for Vic.
Yeah, but just because he played
Vic's
with Vic,
I'm not saying, I get it. I get it. How about Jordan Poyer, the kid that was up in Buffalo?
I liked him when he was in his prime. He was a great player when he was in his prime up in Buffalo. I don't know. Is he still in the open market? He is.
Yep.
I wonder what kind of money he would demand. He's an interesting player. I'd have to look into how good he was, but
I believe he's younger too.
I'd probably lean. I don't know. I feel better about safety than I do about corner. Porter's 34.
So you like the Makuba kid, and you like Sidney Bat or Makuba and.
Well, I just think if you're going to go down this road, you got to know it's going to be better versus going through the growing pains of letting the youngster play. But if they have a higher upside, you could take that risk to earn that reward. If you don't risk it, you're not going to get the biscuit. So I believe Makuba might struggle in those first 6 weeks, but I believe by the end of the season, he could be much better than what Justin Simmons would be in the end of the season. Versus at corner, I'm not as certain of that. I think Adoree Jackson could win that job. And then if you're telling me Adoree Jackson or Stephon Gilmore, I'm like, hey, shit, I'll take Stephon Gilmore, you know?
Final comment before we read the supers, guys. Please hit the like button. Aren't all the names that I just gave you, though, aren't they sound like the guys you have on your roster on defense in certain holes or battles that you're going to be talking about? Your edge guys sound like that. Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith excluded. Some of your safeties and some of your corners, don't they sound like these guys that we're mentioning that are out on them? They sound like the same guys. Like you said, Xander, they sound like the same guys that we're talking about. Rasul Douglas, Tristan McCollum. I mean, I don't know. I mean, These guys sound like the same people. It just looks like to me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think they really are. They're really leaning on player development this year more so than paying premium positions. They
Yeah.
are not paying premium positions, and
But
they are
they relied
totally
on that.
leaning on their player development.
Yeah, I mean, they relied on it last year and it worked out for them. Will it work out again? It's a big question. It's a big if, but I think it's a good chance. I think you have the infrastructure you need to give yourself the best chance at succeeding. So, but you're right. They're relying on a lot of that.
Let's get to these supers before we get to JAKIB here.
Kimberly says, "Why do you think do you think the NFL is going flag football? Why do you think the NFL is going flag football? Cheaper?
Because the NFL loves what they're looking at. Because Gary Cobb, who's in the green room right now, will tell you the biggest fear the NFL has is courtrooms.
Yep.
They do not want to be in the courtrooms because they do not want to pay G. Cobb for his medical past the time he's 60 years old and he has to go in because he's forgetting how to get back to Stamford, Connecticut. He doesn't want them to have to sit there, and the NFL doesn't want to pay that. They don't want to do that, dude, when, quite frankly, the players of today stood on shoulders like Gary Cobb's. So that's why they want to take the helmet away, like Troy Aikman said a couple years ago. They don't want to be in courtrooms.
Kyle says, Sills and Xander, the NFL market is going to eventually reset itself. I think to some degree. I don't think to as much of a degree as you might think, but I think to some degree it will.
Let me say this to you. Gary Cobb was a 10-year veteran in this league. You know how much Gary Cobb would get paid today in the NFL? Gary Cobb would make $13 million a year. He'd make $13 million a year for the production that he had as a football player. Eventually, the NFL owners are going to come in and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. The greatest thing, I'll say it again, that Gene Upshaw did was tie the salary cap into the television contracts. Because you know why? With the TV contracts, salaries go up. And the NFL owners don't like what's going on now.
Kimberly says, this is Vic's last standing spot, doing it his way. I agree with that.
You know, you look at his last 10 years, he's had great defenses, and they've all been in the top 10, going all the way back to San Francisco. If there's one guy that can figure out the Rubik's Cube, I think it's him.
And I've never seen a coach since Howie has taken this type of control in the Sirianni era. I've never seen a coach with more impact on Howie. I think it's very evident. It's clear as daylight how much impact Fangio has. I mean, remember, Doug Peterson kind of drafted Jalen Reagor, and Howie took the brunt of that thing. So I think after that, Howie was like, I'm not really going to give much leeway to coaches. But
I think Stoutland has that convo too.
Yeah,
where
I agree. On offensive line. Well, they haven't missed many offensive line picks.
No.
Khaled says, Eagles' true threat isn't Detroit, it's Washington.
It's true.
I don't know, man.
Now that Ragnow's retired, you've lost 2 O-linemen and 2 coordinators. That's a huge loss.
Washington set a really high bar last year for a team that's been struggling for a long time. It's going to be hard for them to do that again. I'll say that. Kimberly says, Munden in high school played quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. Remember what Gruden said about Travis Hunter? Play on offense first so we can understand D-line better.
And that's what the Jags are doing right now. He's lined up mostly at the OTAs at the wide receiver position. They'll flip him over once they get to training camp to cornerback.
Yep. Last one here. Blaine Miner says, Sills and Xander, good afternoon. Sills, it's funny you mentioned Clowney earlier. He would have elevated the Eagles' defense under Fangio.
Well, remember something here. Like I said, Xander, the guy was the number 1 overall pick. You've got Jordan Davis disease on him. Okay? He never lived up to being the number 1 overall pick, but he did average 7 sacks, which was more than Brandon Graham did in his career. Okay, I mean, this guy's
been. It fixes the edge rusher room? I don't think it fixes the edge rusher room.
No. I don't think you need.
In fact, I trust Jalen. I'd rather put my hope in Jalix Hunt and put him at the 2 and say, I'll die on this hill if he doesn't work. I'd rather go down that road than sign Clowney and hope that you're getting a big name and somebody that's going to be the fix-all. I think I'd rather put the stock in Jalix Hunt. Let the young man go to work and develop. I think you have a better chance there. And if it doesn't work out, I think the result is the same, to be honest.
But I know who that player is. I don't know who Jalix Hunt is yet.
Yeah, you don't really know what Clowney's going to be in this defense at 30. What is he, 35?
31. He's 31. He had 6.5 sacks last year.
He's 30. All right, so he's 32, but that's still not bad.
He's 32. He had 6.5 last year in Carolina. I don't know what
All right.
Jack's on is.
I'm not as high on him. Abe says, can Vic become a college scout after done coaching? I'm not sure. I think he's going to hang him up.
Yeah, I think Vic's
East Coast, last one. I want to see Sills and J-Mac talk just to hear stop it. Yeah, J-Mac ran away from Sileo last week like I've never seen before. He got on his horse and he pedaled out of town on that thing like I've never seen anybody in my life.
They always do that, and I understand why. I got it. Sandra, great combo.
All right, Sills, thank you, brother.
You got it. Make sure you check those guys out, though, each and every single morning on Birds 365. So before I bring JAKIB up, I want to set it up. I had a chance to talk to some folks, and folks at JAKIB Sports who represent Von Miller. And I saw somebody in here say Von Miller hasn't had a sack since 2021. Untrue. He had 6.5 last year with Buffalo. Made $17.5 million, too, a year ago. The price would be $6.5 million for a guy who's going to Canton, who played for Vic in Denver. How do you feel about your edge rush room? Let's bring our friend in from Fox 29 in Philadelphia. Eagles are going through OTAs today, tomorrow.
Yep. Tomorrow, yep.
JAKIB, how you doing, brother?
Good. Doing well. Yeah, they're working out today. They're going to be open tomorrow. So they let the media in there, so we're able to get a look at what they're doing. But it's not all that much that they're doing in there. But you get a chance to look at the young guys, to see who's picking up the system and who's struggling a bit, So you get a chance to see that.
Don't you agree, Gary? Though eyeballs aren't going to be on the offensive guys. There's a guard position and some backup roles, and a swing tackle, maybe a backup center. Who's going to back up whether A.J. Dillon is going to be healthy or not? There's very limited positions on the offensive side. On the defensive side, I would think there's going to be more eyeballs, and you know this as well as anybody. I tell people this about OTAs. Well, if they're filming you, you better not put bad play on film because there's 90 guys in camp. Gary, you know this as well as anybody. Being a late round guy, you didn't put much bad tape on because you wouldn't have been in the league if you had bad tape.
That's right.
So, there's more eyeballs on that defense, right?
Without a doubt. And they're looking for guys that jump at them, They want to look at and see with some of the guys flying off that corner, on their pass rush, the explosiveness, to see guys in the secondary breaking on the ball, the guys that seem to always be in the right place, who's picking up things, and you could see that with the safeties, especially because one thing that Vic is not interested in, he is not interested in giving up big plays. If you want to get out of town, just give up a few big plays, and Vic he will make sure that you leave out in first class. See ya, So those guys got to be looking for that, and because you can see he's looking for it right away. And they've got young kids. There's gonna be some young people out there in the secondary, especially at the safety position, because they really the guys going that are battling, are both young. So the kid that they drafted in the second round and
Andrew
Brown, and Brown, both of them, they're young players. So to see what they're going to do, and you can see that they've got skills. But the big thing is they got to understand the defense. They've got to understand these quarterbacks, and they can't be out there. They got to have the ability to make tackles, out in the open space. They're going to get a chance to do that, and they can't be giving up big plays. That's the thing.
Gary, why didn't Bryce Huff work in Philadelphia, in your opinion?
Well, I thought he came in and he just seemed like he's trying to do too much too fast. He really wasn't. It just seemed like he really kind of got in his head. He got in and struggled a little bit. And in Philly, you got to have some tough skin, man. You can't start panicking because people start talking at you, and you're gonna hear it, and then you're gonna hear it. You turn on the radio. The guys are getting personal. They start talking about everything about you and stuff. So it seemed like he couldn't deal with that. And I didn't see the response to where it seemed like he got behind and never really got comfortable here. And after that point, they kind of given up on him. And they said, wait a minute, well, maybe you can help us next year. Once they put him on the shelf, then the other guys started showing them something. But early in the season, and, in fairness to him, the entire defense was playing poor in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
See? So I think he just that didn't help him. I think he kind of got caught in that, where he was there and he was out there when the rest of the guys weren't doing a good job either. So he kind of got swept up in that, and after the first third of the season, then they start putting in guys and moving guys around, and he got caught out there at the wrong time. So,
do you think the Eagles right now are better or worse without him?
Well,
because you really don't know what you have yet.
That's right.
With Alex Hunt. I mean,
you're right.
I don't really know. And Gary, can you please tell these folks here, for me, a player like you with a 10-year career plus, I look at it and go like this: you're never going to be your best year, and you're never going to be your crappiest year. You're going to be somewhere in the middle in there, but you're going to look at consistency on what a guy is and who he is and what he does on a year-to-year basis. When I see Alex Hunt and I see Nolan Smith, I don't know what these guys are yet. I mean, I just don't know, because I see a half a year and I see some spotty good play. That's all I see. Am I wrong to look at it like that?
Yeah, right now you can look at it that way. Now, the thing that they look at is they say, okay, these guys came on during the playoffs.
Yes.
Both of them played very well in the playoffs.
Yep.
And they look at that and say, well, we were playing the best competition then, see?
Yep.
And I think you look at Washington though. Come on, Washington was not the best competition. Their offensive line, no, they were not the top shelf. Now you start talking about the Rams. Rams are a pretty good team, and then you play against the Kansas City in the Super Bowl, and you look back and you realize they got rid of a lot of those guys.
The Rams gave him a better game than Kansas City did.
That's right. Rams gave him a better game against than Kansas City. And the Commanders did not have a good offensive line. Come on, that's the place they tried to strengthen. So we could sit back and say, so you had a good game against Washington. They didn't have a good offensive line. And you had a good game against Kansas City. They didn't have a good offensive line. But against the Rams, the guy that we had that shined was a guy that we know can play, which is Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
He's the one who took over the game and said, okay, this game is over. I'm taking this thing over. The last 3 plays, which the game came down to, he decided the game.
He did.
So if we look at that, we might need to, we might need to slow down about making our, getting all of excited about these guys, because they were not beating the best people. But I'm interested in seeing. I really think Nolan Smith, though, I think he showed for the second half of the season. He showed a lot with his explosiveness coming around the corner. I like the way he played against tackles, even standing them up on the run and things. So I like what I've seen of him. But Jalen Hunt, we just seen a little bit of him. So I think we got to wait and we got to see what we got there, but because we've only had a peek at him,
How about this, Gary? You tell me what group you feel more concerned about here or better with.
Yeah.
Eagles, the defensive front, Will linebacker, these are your edge guys. Nolan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Your left end is Moro Jomo. Your
Yeah.
nose tackle is Jordan Davis. Your right defensive end is Jalen Carter. And your strong side linebacker, outside edge, is Azeez Ojulari and Alex Hunt. Now, your secondary is Q, Reed. You got a rookie in Makuba. Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson, I guess, are going to play the opposing corner and battle for that. And then you got Cooper. Which group are you more concerned with? The secondary group or the front six? Front five.
Boy, that's I'm not convinced, about either one where I'm just totally
I,
so.
I'm
But that's
hearing- look at these names.
which is the
That
that's a good one.
secondary sounds spotty to me.
Well, they're going to need some people to show up, but I think that we'll see. But the way Vic plays is Vic is not got the guys playing man to man all the time. And, he's not sitting in, where he's blitzing all the time and things like that. He's dependent on those guys to get to the quarterback. And a lot of times he's playing two deep shells, see? So he's not as vulnerable to big plays. But what he does need is he needs a line that can get pressure on the quarterback without blitzing all the time, see? And that's where the pressure is on that defensive line. Can they get pressure on the quarterback without blitzing a lot? That's what they've got to do. And, I think that they might try to acquire somebody late too, because, they really just took James Bradbury and Darius Slay, at the beginning of June is when,
that money falls off the books.
So that money falls off there, and it gives them some money they could use between now and, training camp. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see them grab a veteran pass rusher, somebody who's got, that a name and has done it before.
Would you sign Clowney? Would you sign a guy like Clowney?
I would definitely consider it. You better believe I would consider something like that. And that's exactly the kind of guy I would want, which is somebody who's a veteran, who's done it before, who basically, this is what we're asking you to do. We need some pass rush out of you. We don't need you to play all the time. We don't need you to play, all the plays. But these big plays, we need about 5 or 6 outstanding pass rushes from you every week. And you're going to be single blocked. You're not going to be doubled. We got other people they're going to try to stop. So can we get that? I think they would look at some veterans. And who knows? They might be able to work out something where they even go after somebody with even a bigger name. But that we'll have to wait and see. But I wouldn't be surprised. What's that?
Von Miller?
Yeah, I think that is. I think he's probably the kind of guy that, like I said, veteran.
You don't think, Gary, it's going to be a $30 million move where you see Trey Hendrickson or something like?
No, I don't.
TJ Watt's out there because here's what we were told, that TJ Watt's got a contract on the table with the Steelers. Well, as you know, if contract's on the table and the player and the agent aren't looking at it, that means the Steelers have a deal on the table, and there ain't no deal on the table yet. Until both sides take the contract up.
I mean, that's a dream. Now I would like to see that dream come true. Of course, you love to have that, but whew, I tell you that, boy, something like that happened, boy. You talking about excitement,
man?
Whew. Oh my goodness, are you
TJ Watt and
are you kidding me?
Carter.
Oh
TJ
my goodness!
Can you, hey Gary? How about this? Here. Let me just replace it here. Nolan Smith, Moro Jomo, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and TJ Watt would be your front five.
Come on.
You know what they would do? They would somebody in the NFL would arrest Howie.
They say he's got to be paying people somewhere. He's slipping guys dollars. Somewhere.
Hey, they would arrest him.
Oh, that would
be something like that.
Most definitely. Oh, that would be. Oh man. But I tell you what, if it were to happen, man, I tell you what. Woo. Man. Now that don't even, you can't even. What do you say? Hey, slap. So come out of it. Wake up.
Hey, couple last ones here for you. One thing on the offensive side, do you think? And Kevin Petula said today that Saquon Barkley looks just absolutely insane. He's on the cover of Madden and all that. A lot of great accolades for him. That's really cool. Got a 99 rating. Yep. That's spectacular, the whole deal. But to you, right, this has got to be time of possession again, just so you can get that young defense a chance to get its feet wet and a chance to really get on the football field for them to be able to find out what they got. Because what you don't want to do, right, is put that defense in bad field position. Correct. End up finding out what they really are.
Yeah, and you don't want to be playing from behind.
Yeah.
You would like to be playing with the lead. That's what you want to be able to help your defense. But at the start of the season, without a doubt, you're going to be leaning on your offense. You got all these weapons. You know, you got all these people. I mean, you can remind people, hey, look, we're not paying you guys, you know, to go out there and play around. We want to go out and jump on people and really make it easier for the defense and let them kind of grow up, you know, as they're coming together. And that's really the way they're thinking, I think, because they got young players, and I think they got confidence that Vic can have these guys playing you know, before too long. But they're clearly going to be leaning on the offense start this season. You got all these guys with all that talent on the offense, and that's who's making all the money. They can remind the guys, hey, look, you know what? They might be making what, 100 and whatever million on the offensive side of the ball, and they're making 40 million on the defensive side. I mean, come on. So they expect them to show it, though. They expect them to show it, and that's what's going to be interesting, especially with a tough schedule. You know, that offense has got to get ready to go. They got to start out strong, man. The offense got to start out strong in this season, and clearly there are going to be a lot of people looking. Of course, everybody has circled the Eagles on their schedule. All these teams want a piece of the Eagles, and I think they'll be ready for it.
Last one here for you, Grandpa Babysitter. I love it, and I love it. I always will. But here, you know this is going to become a problem here, because when you hear this, you know, Andrew Brand, as you know, you and I know Andrew Brand, former general manager of the Packers. He's in media now. So he put this out here. The NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, believes this. There is widespread speculation and concern within the league that the Eagles use the void years and cash over cap strategies to manipulate their salary cap. These strategies allow the Eagles to temporarily reduce their current cap burden by pushing extensive and expenses into future years, giving them a competitive edge. So Howie's found the loophole like he's Trump, and he goes out there. And he's not. Hey, look, you and me are like, give me the money up front. I don't care.
That's right.
I don't want nothing promised. I'd like it.
But the players don't have any problem with that, you know?
No, I said that too. I go,
that's right. And the rest of the league, they need to get a pacifier, okay? They need to go get a pacifier. All this crying, they have the same rules, okay? You're not utilizing the rules properly, and maybe your owner is too cheap to do this, because there's a lot of money out of the owner's pocket. Come on, that's got to be willing to. He got to have confidence in the guy that's doing this, you know, because you could have a guy out there just wasting a lot of money. See, so say what you want. Outperform the Eagles. You know what I'm saying? Stop crying and outperform them. You know, come on. And the GMs, go get a pacifier. Come on, man. Hey, where you want to get us? We're going to get a diaper, too, for you.
Dude.
I guess for these guys. Come on.
That's
enough of the crying, man.
Hey, so
same rules for everybody.
Teams like the Raiders, the Jets, and now everyone is starting to complain that Howie's using your own system that they implemented. Remember, that Gene Upshaw, you ripped that CBA up. You wanted to redo it. Howie found that he does this. This is what he's doing, Gary. He's giving you more money. When there's 2 years remaining, he adds 2 more years. Well, you created that. Come on. You created that template.
Yes. And he's utilizing the system to his advantage. Come on. Do they do that during the game? Where you guys going, oh, man. Oh, it seems like, oh, you guys, you know, you went through the whole thing with the fourth down play, you know, oh boy, you know, these guys are using that fourth down play and we can't stop it. So we want to make it elite. You know what? These guys need to get the diapers. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. Get a diaper and a pat on their head, man. You know, come on, stop crying. Man. They need to stop all the crying, man. I'm telling you.
They're beating them on the field and they're beating them at the contract table.
That's right.
That's what teams aren't liking what's going on. JAKIB
and you know what? And you know what the Eagles say? I got to give them that this fits. Hey, you don't like us. Hey, we don't care. You know what I mean? Because they got the ring, right? They got the ring. So, hey, Stop all the crying. They need to stop all that crying.
I think this is more of a shot at Jeffrey Lurie because Jeffrey Lurie's got a guy, and Jeffrey Lurie is doing this. Because remember what they did, Gary, in Cleveland when the Browns gave Deshaun Watson that guaranteed contract, everyone bitched.
You're right.
Now that Lurie is giving the money up front instead of back-ending the deals, he's front-ending them, which means the cap's lower at the back end. Players don't give a shit about the back end of their deal.
That's
they
right.
care about the front end of the deal.
They want their money. The guys want their money. But, some of the guys, like I said, enough of the crying. It's the same rules for everybody. I mean, some of these guys, they need to get them right in front of a camera and just, and treat them like babies. Because that's what we got, a bunch of old babies in the league. You know what I mean? And if you can't stay up with it, then get out of the league, right? If you can't stay up with it, then just, retire, get lost. The league is gone by you, then just get lost. Maybe that's what they need.
JAKIB, as always, you'll be out there at OTAs tomorrow, I believe.
Yep.
And then also on Wednesday, make sure you check him out on Fox 29. My friend, thank you so much always, man. Thank you.
Have a good one. All right.
Make sure you check him out too at Fox 29 in Philadelphia. Please hit the like button here. Dude, this is like the tax code. Like when Trump was talking to Hillary, when they were doing that debate. Hey, you don't like it? Change it. But you won't. The difference here is that the owners want to now. Because the Philadelphia Eagles are beating them in the boardroom, and now they're beating them on the gridiron. And what matters more to the owners is what? The money. I just got through telling Xander. It's funny. I know a lot of people don't know this, which is cool. But if you're 16-0 or you're 0-16, every team makes the same money. Now, some teams are going to make more based on attendances, how much merch you sell. But remember, those NFL property deals, 28 of the teams have the same contract with the other 28 teams. You make the same amount of money. This is not Major League Baseball where the Yankees, the Phillies, the Mets have these big-time TV networks like Comcast and SNY and the Yes Network, where those teams out-revenue teams like the Reds or the Twins. Baseball's set up differently. That's why they implemented a luxury tax. Not everything's the same. Okay? That's why the NFL is king. Here's Bob Brown here. Still, the only thing the league can do to compensate for the increasing TV revenue is adding games. That's correct. That's right. Adding games to the season to create more eyeballs. And that's why they don't want to drop another bye weekend. The players will make less per game until the CBA is redone. Remember something. Here's the problem that the owners are having now. The sport is growing. The salaries are growing. But you're playing marginal. Here, if you were going to pay the best players in the game at their sport, let's do the quarterbacks here for a second. Okay? Let's do the quarterbacks. Highest paid QBs in the NFL. Okay? Let's go. Highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Dak Prescott. There it is. Average per year. 60. Let's just do the eyeball test and go to Bob Brown here. Dak Prescott, based on what he's done, who he is. Dak Prescott, to me, I wouldn't mind paying him $35 million. Face of the Cowboys, 60. Highest paid player in the league. For what? He's done the least in the league. When you start putting salaries like that on and your value to your team, you mean to tell me you think Dak Prescott's a $60 million value to your team? You won 7 games last year. How is 60 million? So you're telling me that how many games did Dak Bob, how many games a year ago did Dak play last year? And don't forget the signing bonus you gave. Would you give him $100 million last year? Right? Here, let's go down the list. Let's go down this list here. Over the cap. Let's see here. Here. Okay. Joe Burrow, $55 million. I'd pay Joe that. I'm all right with that. Josh Allen. I'm okay with Josh Allen, $55 million. Jordan Love, $55 million? Are you drunk? I'm not paying him that. $55 million for that. Absolutely no way. That guy's a $25 million a year guy. Trevor Lawrence, $55 million? Why am I paying Trevor Lawrence $55 million? Trevor Lawrence is a $25 million a year guy. Okay? Who else? Tagovailoa? He's a bag of Skittles away from being retired. 53? I'll pay him 30. Jared Goff is not a $50 million a year player. Brock Purdy's not a $50 million a year player. Lamar is. Jalen Hurts is a $50 million a year player. Kyler Murray's not. Deshaun Watson's not. Watch this. Dak's not. Love's not. Lawrence is not. Tua's not. Goff's not. Purdy's not. Murray's not. Watson's not. These are 9 of the top 12 quarterbacks in pro football today. Those are your highest paid guys. What am I getting on my return on investment? The sport and the business model is growing. You're not returning the investment, though. That's what the owners are looking at. Players Association is looking at it like this. So who's the next big guy when it comes to his contracts being up? Who's the next big guy? Probably CJ Stroud. Stroud's going to make a ton of money because he's good. And I'm paying him probably north of $60 million. But almost every single one of those guys, and the owners are looking at it like this. And that's just quarterbacks. Xander's right. Bryce Huff got $18 million. How he gave that guy $18 million for a 1-year sack season. But because the market and the position and the salaries have gone up so much, owners are going like this. Wait a minute. We got to put a cap. You know, it's something that the NHL has. They have a floor and they have a ceiling on what a player can make. And in my opinion, I think they got to get away from doing this. And you tell me, they got to get away from the cap going up. And I think it's got to be by, hey, Yale, follow me here, Yale. To me, it's more going to be this way here, okay? It's going to be more like this. NFL quarterbacks are going to have a percentage on what's going to go up and what's going to go down. And you're going to do that by position. You can no longer just raise the salary cap because the salary cap going up, that's not going to help. So if you do this, well, defensive linemen are going to go up this amount, and this is the number that they're going to only land on. Jalen Carter is not going to make $40 million. He's going to go up 3 percentage points of what the next closest guy got from a year ago. That's how they're going to start controlling the salaries. They're going to control it that way because that's the only way they can. Having the cap go up to $300 million, that's not helping the owners. Cap will eventually have to stop increasing. It can't increase infinitely. It can't. That's not a sustainable thing. Like, you feel me, Yale? Instead of the guys going and saying, well, I'll pay him $60 million, or I'll pay this guy $53 million. Have a floor. Can't go lower than 51. Can't go higher than 60. And stay in that room. And that fluctuates back and forth. Okay? That's the only way that they're going to start controlling these salaries because, again, this is getting out of hand. And I do not believe that in 3 years, maybe even in 18 months, that this is not going to be not addressed. All right, guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button here. Yeah, think about it, Pat. The players are not paid on you going to the games. They're paid on you watching the games. Think about that. Salaries in the National Football League are not predicated whether you go to Eagle games or not. There is nothing involved with the players. Players get none of that money. How much does an NFL owner make per game? Like $7 million with attendance? That money has nothing to do with player salaries. Okay? And by the way, I'm with you. I think every owner, they put the gamble up, they should make the money. They should. But what happened was there was a former executive director of the Players Association. His name was Gene Upshaw. And Gene tied it in that the NFL players would be tied in always with the salary cap with TV. One time, it was a 51-49 proposition that the players got majority of the revenue from television. Jerry Jones and Bob Kraft came in about 3 years ago and said, hang on, we're redoing this. And now that number's reversed. And what they had to give up with that, again, they gave up some concessions in that whole thing. And what they did was, it was in the draft. Remember the Sam Bradford deal back? Some of you would remember this. Sam Bradford was the last rookie to make big money coming out of college. I think he made $55 million. His contract was when he got drafted out of Oklahoma. I think it was, I can't remember what team, Sam Bradford. Was it Minnesota that he ended up getting drafted to? Something like that. I think it was Minnesota. He was the last guy who got big money. Now what they did was they put a cap on every rookie's contract that's drafted in the first round. That was a concession. St. Louis, that's right, the Rams. Thank you, guys. St. Louis. Thank you, Big Easy. Yeah, it was the Rams. He was the last big money guy. So what they did was they reversed it. Free agency now is where the money is. Free agency is now where you can kind of put Band-Aids on your football team. Okay? Yeah, Rams. They're right, the Rams. Okay? They changed that. Now, the owners don't like what's happening again. Why? Netflix, Amazon, streaming, gambling. You know, you're starting to see alcohol ads, hard alcohol, hard liquor coming back to TV. And you start seeing some of these commercials. This is where the owners are now starting to make a bunch of money here. So you have to know that. And the owners don't like what's going on. When you hear the commissioner of the NFL throwing this out, the NFL commissioner believes there's widespread speculation and concern within the league about the Eagles' use of void years and cash over the cap strategies to manipulate their salary cap. These strategies allow the Eagles to put a pause to reduce the current cap burden by pushing expenses into the future. Okay? Think of that. They don't have to pay any expenses for being over the salary cap. The Eagles are not even they're nowhere near that. They're $25 million under the cap right now, and they're the Super Bowl champions because of the voidable years that Howie adds to this. It's brilliant. And they found the loophole in there. They just keep, like with a player like Lane and Mulata, who else? Landon, Hurts, AJ, who else? Barkley. I add years because I know who the player is. I feel comfortable with the added years and giving him a bag of money up front. The Eagles would rather pay you $10 million right now than put $25 million on the cap with phony years at the end. Because if they don't pay you up front, they got to pay you back end. You know where? Not to the player, but to the cap hits and dead money. Dude, these guys, Howie and Jeffrey Lurie, they're bandits. They're bandits. And how they did this. We're going to reset everything. By the way, we're going to go around the league. OTAs are going on all over the league right now. Some question marks on some of the teams around the NFL that I want coming out of OTAs. We're like a month out from the start of training camp. Dude, the NFL has a huge problem right now with Philly. They're beating you in the draft room. They're beating you in the cap. By the way, because you have the dead money and because you've pushed all your bills for 2 years down the line, you can go and take a look at maybe TJ Watt and maybe sign him. This is why the Eagles were, get this, can you imagine this? You sign a guy like TJ Watt, and I'm not saying they're not going to make a $30 million. I'm not saying they are. But if they sign somebody like TJ Watt and they drafted John Campbell in the same offseason, they're going to arrest Howie. I mean, it's brilliant. And people say the NFL don't hate I think they do, senor. And I think it's because you're smarter than them. There is no doubt that football team has figured ways around it. And you're setting up your future. And I think everything they're doing right now, Howie has the insight they're going to close that window. And that's why he knows he's got to deal with that $400 million number that's coming due. Okay? He knows that that's coming. Jealousy? People always get jealous, Sue, of people doing the right thing. Here's Jason. Void years are just years they tack on and take the bonus money to spread the cap hit and make it lower. Yeah, well, they want to take that away, Jace. Okay? Can you explain how these void years work? Absolutely. I have a definition from the Players Association. So I want to make sure let me bring this up. And this is I got this from because I asked that same question. And I had somebody, I think it was Nolan who sent this over to me. And so here's exactly how the void years work and how Howie's able to move it around. Okay. And this is from an email I got. NFL contracts. This is under NFL contract. Void years are added to the end of a player's contract and don't affect the player's time on the field. Okay. They are used primarily to manage the team's salary cap by spreading the cost of the signing bonus, okay, over a longer period. So if you give a kid a signing bonus and you sign a 4-year contract and it's, say, $100 million, well, those are $20 million hits. And you get to spread them out. Now, that was changed over the new salary cap or the new CBA, excuse me, over long. When a void year is reached, the player is essentially released. They'll cut you. And the team incurs a dead cap hit for the remaining portion of the signing bonus that has previously been allocated for the voided years. You know what Howie does, though? Howie will add more years. He'll just keep adding them and spreading out money out and deferring it. It's basically deferring. That's what he's doing. So you notice, why did Howie not cut James Bradbury? Because he wanted to acquire that year to be able to spread out to the voidable years James Bradbury's money, so it wouldn't be that big a cap hit. I always wondered why James Bradbury was on the fucking team. Now I know why. He wanted that accounted year This guy is smart as shit, man. He really is. Here's why teams use, and this was, again, from the NFL Players Association, teams use void years to manage their salary cap, particularly when signing high-value players like an A.J. Brown or a Cam Jurgens. Here's the flexibility it creates. Void years can create flexibility by allowing teams to restructure contracts and potentially renegotiate with the player before the 4 years are triggered. Don't you ever notice why, Lane? They restructure contracts and they give him more bonus, and then they give him less base, and then you can trigger 2 more void years, and it voids the other 2. I don't know why other teams aren't doing this. That's right. Yes, sir. That's right. Because they're going to cut him. If he sucks, they'll cut him in a year. Keep him on the team, and they'll cut him. That's why, again, there's 2 years remaining, but he's got voidable years on that deal. And that's why they dropped it into a signing bonus. What Howie did was, see, this is where I agree with Xander. You know, John's right. Howie made a mistake and he righted the ship. You know how he was able to deal and move him? He added voidable years for San Francisco to acquire the guy. San Francisco was not going to take on Bryce Huff's contract as is. They wanted to be able to take those voidable years to be able to spread his salary out if they have to cut him. They don't want to be caught with that $31 million or $34 million still owed to him. I personally think how he gets out, how he pivots is a big deal. Man, there are so many general managers that get caught in a mousetrap and they can't get out of it. And before you know it, you're New Orleans or you're Buffalo and you're just whacking players because you got to get under the cap. That's reckless general managing. You're never going to be a competitive team in a year-to-year basis because you become reckless. Who said that earlier? Was it you, Kimberly, that you said about being disciplined? They're just being disciplined. They got definitely a higher IQ when it comes to dealing with this. Remember, Howie doesn't come from the personnel side. Roseman comes from the money side. And this is where his value is. It's really crazy great. You know, and I started my show out by saying, guys, you know me, I don't glaze over what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing on a day-to-day basis. Okay? But this is really great. They pivot, they create, they sign. They're thinking about 26, 27, and 28. From the commissioner to these other owners and general managers, all they do is whine and bitch. Yeah, because they don't think shit out. The NFL is just soft now for banning players to this contract shit. Absolutely. Christopher, here's something. They think it out more. I heard Howie Roseman, I think it was on Chris Long's podcast. And he said something interesting. He said this, he goes, if you're thinking about it now, I'm too late. Howie's already thinking about 28. How's my team going to look in 2028 financially? This is why Jeffrey Lurie turns around and goes like this to him. He turns around and looks at him and says this. This guy knows what he's doing with my books. Okay, this guy knows how and what we're going to be spending. I guarantee you, if you ever sat down with Howie Roseman and you asked him, what's the 28 Eagle team going to look like? He's got a pretty good idea already who's on it, who's not going to be on it. who's questionable to be on it. The valuation still has to be on this player. What is this guy? What's Hurts' contract going to look like? There is no doubt that the Jalen Hurts contract, you signed a $250 million contract with a guy whose salary cap hits are not devastating. Take a look at the Giants and Joe Schoen and how they did that contract. There was more harm done. And probably one of the reasons why Saquon Barkley is no longer a New York Giant is because of that shitty contract they signed with Daniel Jones. Outside of the New England Patriots, I've never seen another franchise in recent history go through so much scrutiny. The difference is the Patriots had scandals. How he's following the rules. Right. Absolutely. Well, hang on here, Marcus. Marcus, there were no rules on formations that the Patriots were running. There were no rules, really, on videotaping a sideline. There was no rules to that. Spygate? I don't ever remember a rule. I don't remember those rules. And those formation things that John Harbaugh bitched about, that Bill did, because he got them from Nick Saban, there was no rules then. Okay? I mean, no doubt. As a matter of fact, I always thought the Patriots were ahead of the game. You know, when you have Scott Pioli and you have Nick Caserio and you have Bill Belichick in the building and you're looking at being ahead of the curve, they were for 20 years. You have to be ahead of the curve when you win 6 Super Bowls. Okay? These are all media manufactured. Deflategate had no impact on the game. Why? They won 3 Super Bowls after. Spygate had no impact. They won 4. How did that have an impact? You know, usually when you do something and you get caught doing it, like if you take steroids, you get banned. How did they get better? No. I'm not saying you're not. Okay? We're stealing signs. Okay, hey, sportsmanship, fuck that. Sportsmanship, trying to win a game. Hey, Ben, if I have to hit you in the head with a chair to win a Super Bowl, I'm going to hit you in the head with a chair. That may not be sportsmanship, nor do I care. What do you want to play by? Queensberry rules? You know, boxer in one corner? I don't care about. No. That's not how owners win when it comes to contracts with players or anything else. This is about winning, whatever it takes, whatever that looks like. That bullshit with sportsmanship, give me a break. Sportsmanship, yeah, that's rich. When you're talking NFL owners and sportsmanship. Okay, wait a minute. Follow the rules, can't be selfish? Well, you must be talking about a different league. Right? Okay? Once again, this guy misses the entire fucking boat again. Stats and numbers pay you. Plain and simple. Wins do not. That's how you're paid. Not if I win 14 games or 4 games. Ask Trevor Lawrence. Nobody gets paid on if you win a Super Bowl. Nobody. You get paid on your numbers and your talent that you have. Plain and simple. You get paid on a 14-win season. Incentives in your contract, yes. But when it comes to being paid, plain and simple, you're paid on who you are. Okay? I don't shake hands after. What am I going to do? Shake hands after? Unless you're my friend, why am I going to shake your hand after you beat my ass in a game? Hey, congratulations to you. Kicking our ass up and down the field for 60 minutes. Get the fuck out of here. Like I said, you show me a gracious loser, I'll show you a waiter. I mean, congratulations to you. Kingsbury rules. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Hey. Congratulations to you, man. You really played a hell of a football game. Really glad that you whipped my ass for 60 minutes. More power to you. Here's a Coke. How you doing? You're barking up the wrong dude, man, for that one. Hey, or here's the other one. You know, I hear players getting asked this all the time. Okay. Hey, are you going to help like Joe Flacco? Are you going to help Shedeur Sanders, get acclimated? No. Why would I? Take my job? A cheaper salary? Hey, if I'm Brandon Graham and I'm 15 years in, yeah, okay. I'll help you out. Whatever you want to know. I got 17 years in of equity in the building. Sure. I'm ready to rock. So you mean to tell me if I got 5 years in, or if I'm a guy who's holding on and want to continue to play, I'm going to help the guy take my gig? Not happening. Wait, do you do that at your work? Is that what you do? So when your boss hires somebody to shadow you around your office, this is how we do it here. This is how, you should do it this way here. And once that guy figures out that guy can do your job, he replaces you and your salary. How you feel about that? That you helped school the guy that took your gig. Good or bad? My mom had a saying, money talk, bullshit walks. Hey, Christopher, can you imagine? Hey, Christopher, watch this. Hey, come over here, Stan. Or M. Reyes, come here, buddy. Not that this guy would, because the only job he has is taking massive L's. So this is what some of you want me to do. Hey, M. Reyes. Not again, he's a bad example because this guy's got shitty takes. He couldn't take my gig from here. So I mean, he's just him and Twiz and some of these other guys, just massive L's. Senor got better today. Yeah, right? So here's M. Reyes. Hey, M. Reyes, this is how you do sports talk. Get a bunch of topics like I do every single. Hey, by the way, so you can put all these papers like I do. What do you guys think? I just talk shit all day? I actually have to prepare for you assholes. See? Believe it or not, I have to prepare for you. And it makes me sick sometimes. See, I have to prepare for all you guys. See this shit? Look at this. I got a ton more here. Because you guys show up here for 4 hours. Okay, I have to prepare for this. I had notes too. Doubtful. What do you have notes for? Taking L's? Well, I have an obligation to be prepared for you. Don't I yell? Don't I have an obligation to be prepared? And not take a day off? What do you think? I'm Harry Mays? I don't know what to talk about. Jason, thank you very much, man. That's really dope of you, man. I really appreciate that. Goes a long way here for the show, man. Seals, people don't understand professionals are there to get paid, and that's it. Plain and simple, dude. And man, you want to win, of course. Okay? Any pro in any profession is doing that, even us waiters. Oh, I knew I was going to get hammered with that. I knew I was going to get hammered. The people who hustle make bank. How you doing? Numbers make nothing. Common sense. Jason, thank you. Even us waiters. Shut up, Jason. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, man. But yeah, I have an obligation to show up prepared each and every single day here. Every single person that comes here every day, I have to be prepared. You will never catch me not prepared. That is not acceptable. Guy like Jason is kind enough to throw 20 at us. Okay? I will always be prepared. I spend my life on preparation. Preparation H? Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe. Sills, most people couldn't last what I do. I fill orders to go onto the trucks. Kyle, it's a great job, man, that you love. Good for you, man. That's right, Ben. Ben, you come here and you guys, you're new kind of to the deal here. Dude, I would never just do a layup show. I put my heart into everything I do in this profession. Because it's me. My name's on this bitch. Okay? My name's on this. Oh, thank you guys. So let's do a lane. Is it sunny or is it dark out? You react. No, it's not what we do here. Don't be a cop either then. I had seen your guy. Hey, that's why I'm a one-man show, bro. Marcus, if you don't put your name on it now, no one will. Hey, that's right. My name's on it, man. I ain't putting anyone's name on this bitch. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit that like button. Okay? So if you're a picker in a warehouse, yeah, that's the most people in the Midwest do. I've done it for 20 years since I was 18. Hey, how about this, Ben? In the Midwest, I used to do a thing called the tasseling when I lived in Illinois. Taking the top of the corn stalks off to turn it into feed corn. Those used to be my summer jobs. I worked for a company called Pioneer Corn. Okay? And I used to take those off. I used to get paid great. Man, was it hard as shit, man. Holy cow. You're working from 4:30 to 4:30. You're out there in these fields in these giant yellow machines going up and down the lanes of the cornfields. And here's a kid from Connecticut. I'm out there in the middle of Illinois, and I'm pulling this shit, man. Holy cow. That stuff was tough, man. Absolutely. All right. I'm going to get to some of the news around the league. So we'll do that. Remember, Eagles are in OTAs today, tomorrow. I think the media gets to be out there, so we should get more stuff from John probably tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan. Folks, I tell you this all the time. The reason they're number one is because they win. That's right. They are number one because they win. With over $30 billion recovered when it comes to families and folks around the country, when insurance companies try to lowball you guys, they roll in there and make sure companies have to pay their way. Like the families out in Los Angeles and the Los Angeles area that lost their homes, or in North Carolina, who lost their homes because insurance companies didn't want to pay the premiums on them to fix the homes up. Morgan & Morgan has gone in there and said, no. You can't just start canceling people or coming back and giving low ball estimates. They end up turning around and suing these companies. And this is why they are winners, because they win cases. If you're ever injured, do me a favor, please check them out at forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills here. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. You have been spectacular today, and I can't thank you enough. I want to say this here, and you're not going to really hear it too many places. You know, one of my favorite people in the world to have a conversation with on my X account is Martina Navratilova. Yeah. That Martina. Now, her and I don't see eye to eye on a ton of things, but we see eye to eye on one thing. So it came out that that dude during the Olympics was a guy, and he was beating the shit out of women at the Olympics, and the Olympic Games allowed it. And you had people like Jamel Hill, Mina Kimes, suggesting that whatever, should sue people for slander and slandering her name. Well, the International Boxing Committee and folks came back, and her drug test or her DNA test came back. She's a dude, or he's a dude. And for the Olympics to suspend somebody like Richardson for smoking weed, or Ben Johnson for pot, or excuse me, for PEDs, and take medals away? What's the difference having the dude compete in women's sports? Why aren't you caring about, here, not to get crazy political for you, how can you say this, that you believe in women's right to be pro-life or not, and then turn around and allow a guy to go into women's sports and beat the shit out of him? How are you supporting a woman? On one hand, you want to have the argument and the conversation on pro-life, and that a woman should have a choice, and you want to defend that, but then you turn around and you defend a dude, the same people defend a dude beating that woman up in a boxing match. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. And for me, it's more about the Olympics. Hey, by the way, I want to say this. I think trans folks should have a bite at the apple, and I think everybody in this world, nobody should be with discrimination. I'm not doing that. But I don't want my daughter getting her ass kicked by a guy. You have women's sports for a reason. They fought so hard. You know what? My wife's a rugby coach, and the simplest things I can't believe. They got to pay for mouthpieces and cleats and all kinds of other shit. Stuff that I got for free. I had tons of sneakers and cleats in my locker I never used. Those cleats are $200, $300. Mouthpieces are $70, $40, $50, the good ones. I mean, again, this is more about women's sports and how far it's come. Look at what the WNBA has with Caitlin Clark. She just got the very first shoe deal and her own brand like Jordan. That's so awesome. It's trend setting. It's great for women's sports. Some dude getting into I see this shit going on in California. It makes me want to vomit. It makes me want to vomit. You got a guy so far ahead. And how about the one in Oregon, the two girls that want to get on the podium with the dude? Like John Morgan said it. It's just not fair. Turned out to be a guy beating women up. Why don't you look at that as assaulting women? And the Olympics allowed it. Not that the Olympics have a clean record for behavior and how they're discriminating and how they've always been that way. Again, this is more about women's. Hey, Sue, this is more about women's sports. Listen, I wasn't really as tuned into women's sports until I had a kid. And it's taught me so much. And again, I don't believe in hating anybody. My family does not believe in hating anybody. We're not those folks. What we are is we believe that women have fought so hard. My wife is trying to get rugby to be a varsity sport and not a club sport. It's one of the greatest sports I've ever been associated with. And I'm so proud that my wife's a coach and my daughter's a star in it. It's so great of a sport. It's just fantastic. And for people not to see how great it is and then to allow, I don't know, politics and dangerous situations. A guy beating a woman up at the Olympic Games, and you had that loser network, ESPN, and Mina Kimes and those guys defending that. It's criminal. And they're on the air defending that. And you know what you won't hear? You know what Martina said? I said, you're not going to hear one mainstream media company come out and say that they were completely wrong. And you know what she said? You're not gonna. You're not gonna. What a travesty. Sat around and watched women getting beat up at the Olympics. Is not a sport when a dude's beating them up. And our media, because they play politics, thought it was okay. All right. I want to hit on one thing with Shedeur Sanders, and then we're going to go around the league as we're in OTAs here. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button here. Just a disgrace. It's disturbing. So, Shedeur Sanders last year at Colorado made $5.5 million. This year he's going to make $1 million. Help me out. Shedeur, why'd you leave Colorado? Why'd you leave Colorado? Because you thought what? You were going to be the first or the fifth pick? When actual NFL people were telling you you're not going to go in the first round. Jay Gruden on our program said he was going to go possibly in the fourth round. Okay? See, the NFL will tell you who you are. Even if they may they told Tom Brady who he was in college. You were a sixth rounder, dude. Tom Brady changed that narrative because he got pissed off and Tom Brady didn't have a chip on his shoulder. Tom Brady had a lumberyard on his shoulder. And every single time that came up, Tom Brady, every draft, puts a picture of himself at the combines. And as I said to you guys before, he looks like Ichabod Crane. I mean, he looks like a dad body, and he's fat, and he's chubby. He's got a beer gut. He didn't look like an athlete. And I think he ran a 5.5. But he had a lumberyard on his shoulder. I think Jalen Hurts has a lumberyard on his shoulder. Okay? I think he does too. I think Hurts walks around with a lumberyard. I'm a second rounder. Jalen Hurts had to think in his own mind that he was a first-round draft choice. Okay? He had to think that. Because he looks at it and he had to think the way he works. Let me tell you, for me personally, I was the 56th player taken. Now, my circumstances were different because of the NCAA, but still, if I was in today's NFL, I wouldn't have came out early. To be what? A second-round pick? Fuck that. I want to be the fifth pick. Not a second rounder. I thought for me that was bad. Can you imagine being Shedeur? Now, I got to tell you, I think the kid's handling it very well in Cleveland. I do. I think he's handling it well. Better than I thought. You know, he hasn't been stupid. He's been working hard. You know, the media is doing great things by covering him. And he says that I'm just part of a team and I'm trying to make my way. I mean, he took a pay cut to go to the Browns. He took a pay cut. He was making more money at Colorado last year with nil and with all the endorsements he was making. Like, think about this. Arch Manning. He'll have another year of eligibility. And he's probably the favorite, and I got him as the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. I got Texas #1, preseason-wise. You want to hear this? He's going to make $6 million this year. He made $4 million last year, and he made $3.5 million the year before. At the end of this year, he would have made $13 million. If he comes back and plays at Texas for another year in his last year, he's got a shot to make $20 million before he even leaves the fucking college, before he even leaves Austin. $20 million. And then he turns around and he signs a guaranteed $30 million deal in the NFL. This guy could sign and make, before he even plays an NFL down, $50 million. if the New Orleans Saints are the number 1 pick and I'm coming up and I'm Arch Manning, hey, Grandpa, I know you played there, but, I know I grew up here, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want to go to a shitty organization. Hey, Joseph, I think Penn State, hey, dude, Penn State's a good football team. You got a shitty head coach. He's 3-17 against top 10 teams, and he's 4-16 or 4-19 or whatever it is against Ohio State and Michigan. How are you going to win a national championship when you can't win against Ohio State or you can't beat top 10 teams? Penn State doesn't have a problem when it comes to, I think Mickey Loomis is a good GM too. I do. But Joseph, how in the world, you don't have a problem with talent at Penn State. You got a head coaching problem. That guy can't win big games. What's the one big game he's ever won? I can't think of one. Let me put it to you this way, guys. James Franklin is no Joe Paterno. He is no Joe Paterno. Look at Joseph. We beat Ohio State every 10 years. I mean, that's not a big-time coach. So you're 2-10 over 20 years. Wow. 2-20. There's no talent issues at Penn State. For that matter, there's no talent issues in Pennsylvania. Dude, the schools in Philly, Pittsburgh, Wilkes-Barre, toward the New Jersey side, like up near Pennsauken. Here's how I would rank the high school football. Florida, Texas, Ohio, California, just because of volume, PA. Pennsylvania's got great high school football. Great talented kids. Those are great football high school programs. Some of the best in the country. Best in the country. Facilities too. Hey, I tell you what, I watched it. Something that was really cool. I watched a track and field event over at Franklin Field this past weekend. And my kid was watching. She goes, "Man, where's that, Europe?" I go, "No, that's Franklin Field. My uncle played there against the Eagles." She's like, "What? The Eagles played there?" I said, "Yeah, that's probably one of the last true great stadiums that's left in New England." Louisiana, Lamar is a great place too. They got great football in Louisiana. And there was Franklin Field. I was at a track meet there, the Penn Relays. And my daughter's like, that's where Chuck Bednarik played. That's where the Eagles played. I think that's the last time and only time that Lombardi lost a playoff game was in that stadium. If I'm not mistaken, I think he lost his only playoff game at Franklin Field. It's truly one of the greatest stadiums. There, the Yale Bowl in New Haven. There's not very many left. They've knocked almost all of them down. Franklin Field, the Yale Bowl, Harvard Stadium. I can't remember the name of that place. That's another one. There's very few that are left. That you just don't see them any longer. The West, that's a great one. Rice Stadium's not in the East Coast, but it is Rice Stadium. That is a great football stadium too. You're right. That's a great one. Or West Point Place, Army. Okay. Still's acting like James Franklin was on the field when Drew Aller gave Notre Dame a win. Bro, what about being 3-18 versus top 10 teams? I mean, what about those other gigantic failures? What about those massive failures you've had? I love Monken. Kimberly, I think Monken at Army's doing a great job. It's a very difficult place to coach. My dad ran track for West Catholic, would see Chuck Bednarik regularly at the Penn Relays. I got a chance to meet Concrete through Andy Robustelli, and he'd come down to St. Pete, and he'd come down to Tampa, and I had him in my studio, but I vote on the Bednarik Award. And he had a chance to come in studio. Man, you talk about just an old school NFL guy. I've said this before. Think about how the league is today with quarterbacks. And think about during that time, not to go too old on you guys here, but look, you had Chuck Bednarik, Philly. You had the guy in Green Bay, Nitsky. You had Sam Huff in New York. And you had Butkus in Chicago. You had Bednarik in Philly, Nitsky in Green Bay, Huff in New York. Huff was on the cover of Time magazine. And you had Butkus in Chicago. Those guys were the face of the league, was the middle linebacker position. That's what the league was. Hardworking, blue collar. Now it's quarterbacks because those are the TV stars. But that's what the league was built on. Bednarik, Nitsky, Huff, and Butkus. Far cry from those days. Those folks represented those cities. And it's just different. Defense is not, you don't have those names like that any longer. It's crazy. But that's how people saw the league. All those guys were bigger stars than their quarterbacks. I can't even tell you who the quarterback was on that 60 NFL champion team for the Eagles. I know Bednarik was on it. I can't even tell you who the quarterback was for Butkus during his time. I don't even remember. Just a different time. Sills, Pennsylvania has the second most professional Hall of Famers, only behind California. Dude, I played in a game called the Big 33, and it was 95% Pennsylvania guys. And Jersey. I think we had that year, we had Pennsylvania, Ohio, and they did a north to east with like Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. And my high school coach, Joe Anzalone, had me play in this game. And I played in that Big 33. Like 98% of the guys that played in that game went on to play in national or were drafted into the National Football League. I don't even know if they still do that game anymore. Real. Do they still do the game? Maryland was in it too. I remember that. The Big 33 was PA versus Ohio. I think they do PA versus Maryland now. Yeah, they switched it up. And what they started doing was they started like inviting kids to play on like the Ohio. If you had any relatives in like PA, or if you had any relatives in Ohio, you got a chance to play. And so they started bringing them in. I don't know if they still play that game. Yeah, Greg Mark. Danny Stubbs is also from Pennsauken, New Jersey. Wait a minute. Yeah, Greg Mark's from Pennsauken. And I think Danny Stubbs is also from Pennsauken. I'm trying to think. I played against a kid. His name was Paul Palmer. And he was in the pros, though. But I think Palmer went to Temple the year Vinny won the Heisman. Cherry Hill, Voorhees. Yep. Very good. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds about right. Dude, PA's got great high school football. That school that Xander went to, that Catholic, that prep school, tremendous. You know, that prep school, St. Thomas Aquinas, John Bosco, Mater Dei out in California. I know all these schools because I help recruit with Mario Cristobal. St. Joe's, great reputation. Just an absolutely great reputation. LaSalle High School, absolutely. All great. Real quick here, let me do this. So OTAs, there's a bunch of teams in OTAs right now. And I wrote down some potential contenders. Arizona. What will the new defense look like for me this year with them? I think you add Josh Sweat, obviously. So what are they going to look like? William, thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate it. Guys, hit the like button. Atlanta. Who's Michael Penix? Right? Who's Michael Penix? I don't know. Chicago. Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams. I'm making it very simple here. Right? Who are they? What's going to happen here? Is this going to be a good marriage? Is this going to be a good fit? Is he going to get the best out of Caleb? I'm still waiting to see what the guy is. Dallas. Funny. Who's running the ball? This is not anymore a Dak question for me. I know what he is. Right? I know who Dak is. This got nothing to do with Dak anymore. Who's running the ball? Detroit, Johnny Morton. He's the new OC. Okay. You just lost Ragnow. Right? What's Detroit? Boy, does it not feel like, to me, Detroit's taken a step back? You lose a guard. Now you lost your center. And you lost your coordinators. I don't know. But to me, I mean, I'm like, Detroit's taking a step just in coaching, let alone now the players. You got two old linemen off that offensive line, which was one of the best in football last year. I don't know. Green Bay. Is Alexander playing with them or not? Jair Alexander, are you playing or not? Are you going to be a Packer? You know, I keep sitting here dissecting what the Eagles have lost. How about these other teams? Is Alexander playing or is he not playing? Here, this is going to be easy. Minnesota. Who's the quarterback again? J.J. McCarthy. I'm sorry. Until proven otherwise, I thought that guy was a fifth-round draft choice coming out of Michigan. I don't see it. The New York Giants. Okay. I don't know what the New York Giants are. What are they? Like a UFL team. 49ers got some good news. Christian McCaffrey. Looks like he's going to be ready to rock and ready to play. What does that mean now? Okay. Trent Williams is older. Is Nick Bosa going to return back to his elite self? And then you got Washington. Here's going to be everyone's expecting Jaden Daniels to make a step back. Why? They upgraded the team. They got better. They had more room to get better. The Eagles did that stuff over finances. They didn't do it over not wanting to keep people. The Eagles didn't want to be good. Get this, my opinion of Philly's offseason, Philly just didn't want to be good in 26 and suck in 27, 28, and 29. They wanted to be really competitive and good this year and great 26, 27, and 28. They allowed you to get closer to them this year. Not saying they passed you. Nobody's saying that. But the next, get this, if you don't catch Philly now, do you not agree? If you don't catch Philly now, you ain't ever catching them. Our great friends at Morgan & Morgan with over $30 billion recovered. Number one injury law firm in America for a reason. And it's because they win. Family in PA got $26 million after an insurance company came in and wanted to only offer them $650. Another insurance company down in Florida, $12 million they ended up getting. Insurance company came in and wanted to only give them a settlement of $350K. That's not going to happen at Morgan & Morgan. If you're ever injured, please take my advice on this. Tomorrow, by the way, we're going to have John Morgan on with us again. That's go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Next month is training camp. Where did this offseason go? I mean, holy cow. It just seemed February 9th that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and it's now June 2nd. This is crazy. By the way, real quick, really cool stuff. Starting like June 14th, I'm going to be working with Ice Cube and the big three. I'll give you more details as we're getting closer to that thing. So that's going to be really dope. So we're going to get Cube on again because Big Three's starting up. So we're really looking forward to that. Howie's season still elite even after a shorter offseason. You know, Senor, you're right. You're absolutely right. He's, for what their game plan is and what they're doing. You too, brother. You too, man. Hey, and by the way, M. Reyes, thanks for coming, dog. Okay. Sir Mix, thank you. Guys are awesome, man. For what they're doing, their game plan, it's not like every other team's game plan. Business-wise, the Eagles it's an A+ in what they do. Dude, San Jose, love it. Used to go see the SaberCats there, Gabe. Gabe, I used to be the pregame host for the San Jose SaberCats. How's that for you? And then when Dean Lombardi was general manager of the Sharks, I used to be a guy who worked the pregame. I was the only guy in the Bay Area that would talk hockey. Because I'm from New England, from Connecticut, I'd be the only guy to talk on KMBR. I'd be the only guy to talk about the Sharks. I love the Sharks. San Jose, great, man. Hey, the San Jose SaberCats, I had a fun time covering that, dude. That was a lot of fun. Living in that neck of the I lived in Dublin. I just drive down the highway. Anyway, great stuff as always, folks. Please hit that like button on the way out the door. I can't thank you guys enough. 2 to 6 tomorrow. Xander, Big Joe, thank you. We'll see you on the flip side.